Yeah.
What are you doing?
All right, it is 5:30, and I call to order a special meeting for the city of Emeryville. Let's do the roll.
Councilmember Bowders.
Here.
Councilmember Donahue.
Here.
Councilmember Martinez.
Here.
Vice Mayor Pats.
Here.
And Mayor Medina.
Here. Approval of the final agenda?
So moved. Second.
All right, moved by Member Bowders, seconded by Member Donahue.
Councilmember Bowders.
Aye.
Councilmember Donahue.
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pats.
Aye.
Mayor Medina.
Aye. Any ex parte communications for this? I was in my committee when they discussed it, but no. All right, public comment for items not on the agenda. Okay, then let's get to the action items. First up, and I'm going to just preface this with what Sherry told me, we've got 45 minutes for 3 of these. Four of these, so each have about 11 minutes. And Sherry will just kind of glare at you strongly when your 10th minute is up. Let's start off with the Commission on Aging's annual report on committee goals, principles, and accomplishments for the year 2018 and proposed priorities for 2019.
I'm Kim Burrows. Good evening, and I'm the staff secretary for the Commission on Aging, and I'd like to introduce Mary Farrell, who is the chair for the Commission on Aging, and Yvonne Behrens, who is a member, and they're here to give the staff report.
Excellent.
Okay. Let's see here. How do we get full screen here?
Go to the slideshow
Slideshow.
Sherry will help.
from beginning. You got it.
Now that helps. Okay. Our committee goals and principles. The City of Emeryville's Commission on Aging is dedicated to promoting a dignified, helpful quality of life for older adults by advocating for vital services, providing opportunities to develop a meaningful fellowship, offering lifelong learning activities, and being an accessible community resource.
Good evening, everyone. So, accomplishments for calendar year 2018. It actually begins back in November of 2017 when Louis Labatt, another member of the Commission on Aging, invited a representative from AARP to come and discuss age-friendly communities. We then presented that to the City Council, and I think you were the mayor at the time, Mr. Donahue, and you put forward a motion that Emeryville would follow through and work on becoming an age-friendly community. So 2018 was mostly research into what were the steps required to follow through on the AARP and also World Health Organization agenda for creating an age-friendly community, and how well Emeryville actually fulfilled some of those criteria. We did a pretty good job already. We already have a pretty good job. Housing is an area that's lacking, and then we've got some other things. But anyway, we did our research. We have handed over what we did to staff, and Brad is Brad, I don't need to give your name, is laying out the groundwork for follow-through, which is going to include doing a survey to see what other Emeryville members want and see a need for age-friendly. Commission members Baruch Golden, Yvonne Behrens, Louis Labatt, and Kayla Sterling will work with staff, and there will be a person hired to follow through, yes, with the survey. So the other thing we will do this year for the coming year will be a transportation workshop, which we did 2 years ago. Thank you. We did 2 years ago, and it was quite successful to help the aging community interact with public transportation. And we'll be doing that in June.
Okay, so we will continue to provide input and recommendations regarding city policies and priorities relating to the aging population, housing safety and accessibility, and we've learned a lot this year. It's been really good, and we love having city council people be at our meetings because we get the last minute, the most recent information about what's going on as it relates to our mission. Thank you very much.
And also, yes, I wanted to thank Diane specifically for being part of our meetings every week. That was great. And also to let you know that Joyce Jacobson, who's been a longtime volunteer for the city and was our chair for several years, has retired. So I just wanted to acknowledge that as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody have any questions or remarks? Let's do public comment on this item. Anyone? Okay. Any remarks? Member Martinez?
I just want to thank the members of the Commission on Aging for all of the work that you do. Age-Friendly Communities has a lot of moving parts and continues to have a lot of heavy lifting. So I really appreciate that this committee has taken on such a rich program to use to really help us understand how the city's doing, not only for seniors, but for people of all ages, and how our programs all interconnect and weave together for the health of our greater community. So thank you for your work.
Anything else? All right.
I just also want to join Councilmember Martinez in thanking you. I know you're going to move on to your evening events, so I just want to flag, since you won't be here for the general meeting, that I will be in council member announcements talking about Caltrans' intent to make a negative declaration related to making alterations to the maze. And there's a lot going on in that. I just want to flag that for you because there was a public hearing, but most Emeryville residents did not receive the notice until after the public hearing took place. Which is Caltrans' way of doing things. And so I just want to flag it for you, and I'll ask staff to send this perhaps to you to disseminate with members of the commission, because there are 10 days remaining to submit comments online at least. This would displace thousands of vehicles into Emeryville streets for a period of time of months, the proposal. And so I just think that seniors and people who rely on transit should be made aware of this and have the opportunity to comment on it. So just flag that for you now.
Thank you so much for your time tonight, your brevity, and your very direct presentation, and all the work you do. All right, next up, Public Art Committee.
Evening, I'm Chad Smalley, Economic Development and Housing Manager. Filling in for Secretary to the PAC, Amber Evans. I'm going to turn this over to Ms. Cosmo Kennedy.
Good evening, council members. I'm Melody Cosmic-Kennedy. I'm a member of the Public Art Committee.
And Sharon Wilshire, I chair the Public Art Committee. And as we get started, I just want to acknowledge our members, Edith Bresnahan, Bryce Gaspard, Harley Jensen, Melody, Lauren Merker is no longer, but Alicia Raffel, Vicki Jo Sewell, Judy Wetterer.
So we're here to present our 2018 accomplishments and goals for 2019. So one of our very proud goals of 2018, which was a very busy year for some of our major projects, was Joey Rose, who is a muralist, presented his artwork. It's 2 buildings that were presented by Broken Rack along the Greenway. So this is Joey Rose's 2 colorful and educational murals, which is now on view, very beautiful. And he uses a lot of local California native insects, so that's the educational aspect of it.
Yeah, that's the only thing I was going to mention. I mean, one of the things I really enjoyed was the educational aspect. And I'm hoping that maybe we'll find a way to actually have some of that information available at the site, or even just through some sort of a QR code or something where people could actually find out about the fauna that's illustrated.
So our second accomplishment of 2018, we've recently commissioned the artwork of Ned Kahn. He's a very prominent sculptor who works a lot with building material, very common building material, but in a very elegant way. So Ned Kahn was inspired by our breakwater area, and he wanted to install what he calls wind jetty. So that is now commissioned for the public, for the marina and the public art. It's going to be contracted in fall of 2018, which has just happened. So it's 540 feet long, and it'll be installed in the breakwater, which he has worked out the logistics for. And the installation's expected to start in 2019.
So this will be something that will be enjoyed not only by visitors to the marina, also those who have their berths there at the marina, but it will be visible from the surrounding bay area out to the bay, and I think from the freeway, et cetera. We're very excited about it.
Yes, and Emeryville being so near the water, we have a lot of public art that is what you would consider to be access points to and from the city. So it's nice that we have something to illustrate the access point, celebrating it with an artwork that's to and from through the marina. Our third accomplishment is a purchase award from last year's Celebration of the Arts. It's Sarah Paloma's silhouette, which is stoneware, black stoneware, and it was installed here in City Hall out in the second floor, and you can view that. So it was an overwhelming response to her work, a lot of great interest in it, and having a local artist who has craft in such a high form really exemplifies what we're doing in all types of public art, not just standard sculpture and murals, but also this fine craft of stoneware and ceramic work.
So, and many of you were at the reception for this work in December, and I think it was really interesting that Sarah's studio is right across from PG&E, and she did reference the Transformers and thought that maybe they had influenced her work a little bit. So.
So going on to accomplishment number 4 is our continuing bus shelter temporary art program. We've continue it, and it's been extended. So this artwork it takes place in bus shelters throughout the city. It's displayed work of 3 artists in 2018 and elected and scheduled 6 local artists to display 4 original thematically linked images in 4 locations citywide, and this is going to go through 2020.
So this is actually phase 5 of this project. It's been very successful, and in no small part to a decision that was made by the City Council many, many years ago to not have any advertising in these bus shelters.
So our accomplishment number 5 is our private art. In 2018, the Art in Public Places Ordinance resulted in major new installations valued at $800,000 under development. Locations where installations are currently under procurement: Emery Cove, it's Ian Auerbach, which is up in the top right corner. Estrella Vista, it's Eric Powell. Emery Station West, the new Emery Station West, which just was recently completed. Eric Powell, Blessing Hancock, which is the illuminated piece you see out front. Jay Mercado and Chris Latanzio.
Right. So, and I thought it was really interesting that the piece that is being commissioned by Emery Cove is actually something that their director was on our selection panel for the marina, and this happened to be one of the artists who submitted work, and she was very, very interested in it and moved on that afterwards. So it'll be a great addition to the marina.
So going into 2019, looking forward to what we'll be able to do as a public art committee. Our major goals, first off, is fiscal solvency for future programs and projects, the marina installation. Additional goals are going to be existing programs and projects, perhaps a mural program, and private development installations.
So I think we're going to, we reference this in a little bit more detail, but just historically, the Public Art Fund was funded by a policy for any private development that had an OPA with the redevelopment agency, and actually this is what we've been able to use to commission practically all the works that the city has commissioned over these decades. That with redevelopment coming to an end, this is really an issue for us. We've convened a subcommittee to work on the finances, and so we're going to be probably coming back to council with some of our ideas in terms of our future programs and the possibility of additional funding.
So, piggybacking on that, fiscal solvency. So we'd like to start identifying new revenue, looking at our annual operating costs and one-time capital projects. We want to consider existing and future projects, and also consider alternative partnerships and grants. And this is pretty open. We're wanting to be very creative with ways in which we can extend our public art funds, and joining forces with other departments or other partnerships.
So right now, just in terms of what we're calling our annual budget, that's just a little bit over $100,000 every year to for the bus shelter program and other programs. But it's really, so that will continue to very shortly deplete our fund, but it also excludes the possibility of any of our commissions, I mean, without additional funding.
So our next goal of 2019 is the Marina Public Art. In 2019, NEDCON will complete the installation of Wind Jetty with a public celebration, perhaps tied to a Day on the Bay event. And we're hoping to generate more local people who have moved here in the last couple of years and take advantage of Day on the Bay and let them see the public art unveiling as well, so they see a different side to the city if they're not already aware of the artwork that we put out there. Goal 3 is ongoing projects. We have the bus shelter, temporary art phase 5, the purchase award, funding celebration of the arts, private public art review, which is $3.5 million, including public market and Sherwin-Williams.
So the public-private is actually something that's new for us. We don't, basically, with the public market, we were able to review their public art master plan and to comment on that. And then the same with Sherwin-Williams. They've already, I think they'll be presenting to you maybe later this month what their suggestions are for the artwork that will be in the public park at the Sherwin-Williams development.
So needless to say, our entire committee is excited to serve a city prioritizing art and innovation. We look forward to the Arts Center as a permanent home for the celebration of the arts. Perhaps the Art in Public Places and Arts Center can foster new collaborations. We are intrigued by the possible partnerships and champion for the implementation of the Public Art Master Plan, such as collaborations for mural commissions, as anti-graffiti strategy, or use of other funds for artists commissioned for function pieces of infrastructure. So as an example of trying to think creatively is with the graffiti abatement program. If we can somehow channel some funds to maybe create like a small mural program, and then artists get to participate and the buildings are also protected.
And I know that that Parks and Rec has also been very interested and appreciative, I think, of the impacts that public art can have on the community. I think that some of this has come from the success in the private sector of the Christie Avenue Park and the artwork that's been installed there. So we're excited to look at some of these other possibilities. We thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Stick around for questions.
Yeah. Any clarifying questions? All right. Any public comment? All right. Comment from up here. Perhaps the liaison?
Well, I will remind the council that several years ago, our city, when Brad Gunkel was chair of the Planning Commission, he came up with the idea that our city's identity could be better established if we had some kind of gateways, public art, something at our borders. And we have no funding to do that. But maybe if we get our creative hats on about this, we could figure out a way to make that vision happen. And I think that Public Art Committee would see that that vision is implemented well if we figure out how we could do that.
Thank you for all your work. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, I have a few questions for you, actually. My first question is the bus shelter. Can you just explain the bus shelter program? So once we put the installation of the new artist in, is it the same 4 bus shelters that it rotates through, or is it like we've now installed that artist in 4 shelters and we move on to a new 4 shelters?
No, we actually only have, I think, 4 shelters that
4 total.
that can actually accommodate the two-dimensional artwork.
Okay.
And so, and actually, I was going to mention that program, along with the purchase award, is in terms of the Public Art Committee, is the only one where you have to either live or work in Emeryville to submit work for that. So when an artist is selected, they have 4 independent images, and those are placed in the 4 shelters. And they're up for 3 months, and then it rotates to the next.
Okay, and just where are those 4 in the city?
Well, one of them is on 40th. There's another one by Ruby's Cafe.
Okay.
There's one out at Watergate. And the 4th one is across from West Elm on Shellmount.
Shellmount Street.
Yes.
Okay. My other couple of questions, the wind jetty, when it's installed, so what does it take to clean and maintain that, actually? It's a stainless steel, right? So does it require, do we have to do something ongoing to maintain that, the piece of art?
I'm actually not aware of any special, I mean, Ned Kahn usually often works on building facades, et cetera, and he's had a good deal of experience with this particular medium. So I think that, if anything, I mean, there might be potentially an armature or something that, if something happened to one of those, but I don't think there's an issue. And there also was a question about birds, et cetera. I mean, in terms of,
bird
but I
droppings,
think
yeah.
that there's, at least according to his information, because of the diameter of the top, et cetera, that it really isn't. It's not friendly at all. Plus, it's also it's reflecting, it's moving. So.
Okay. Then just a couple other things. With the discussion on the future funding, you said that there's $100,000 is the budget. Is that, I know that you wouldn't have a specific probably for us on this, but the money that was coming through when we had redevelopment that was coming through those projects, was there an average amount of money that was coming into the fund annually when we had that?
I don't think we could say average, because it was generated by specific projects.
It fluctuated.
And then also, there's another portion of funding that comes in, but it's also unpredictable, and it's usually very small compared to these redevelopment projects. A developer who has an obligation for public art, let's just say maybe it's a very small commission, maybe it's $10,000, and they may decide, we really don't. We just want to write a check to the city. So we do have, some of those funds come in as well, but they're most of the time somebody wants to have that on their property. And so right now there are, so there's the Celebration of the Arts, there's the Purchase Award, which doesn't have a cap on it for a reason, so that the jurors aren't limited by that, but it's been in a fairly modest range, historically. The bus shelter program, and then we also have other things that are contracts for. We usually have someone who's a conservationist who looks at a proposal. That's a consultant that we pay to make sure, to have any questions up front for the artist in terms of the materials that they're using in conservation. We also subscribe to CAFE, which is one way of jurying where artists actually submit their images directly to CAFE. It doesn't, so we're not actually having to, or the staff doesn't have to go through all of those here on this level. Things like we have marketing that we do. We have our bus shelter bookmarks, and we have our public art map, those sorts of things.
And that total expenditure, is that About 100,000?
It's a little over 100,000. It just depends. I mean, some of those things change a little bit depending on the purchase award. And yeah, so that's sort of if we want to continue the programs that are existing right now.
So I don't know if the question is better for Sharon or for Chad, but my question is, with the changes to the revenue stream that we've just discussed, what would be the material difference in the total amount of revenue that's available to fund this particular public art fund every year? So are we looking at a decline in the aftermath of redevelopment here? Are we looking at a decline in revenues where we're looking at having $50,000 less every year coming in for this fund that we had previously? Is it we're just eating out of reserves in the fund? How is that working right now? You understand my question?
Sort of. I think the answer, I'm going to not answer it directly, but we have been working with members, staff has been working with members of the committee to sort of think about what we can do in the budget that's coming forward to you to address maintaining the programming that Ms. Wilshire just mentioned, the bus shelters, the murals, the acquisition, the celebration. And I think there's some question about how much we can afford for the purchase award as well. So I think those four things in terms of programming, we're trying to figure out what's a sustainable funding source for those. Acknowledging that the size of the contribution from redevelopment is unlikely to come again. Because the private development, as was alluded to, is so unpredictable, and likely they would provide the public art on their own property and not pay into the fund.
Okay, so when we go over the budget, staff will provide an analysis on the current revenue stream and alternatives for revenue sources for this. That'll be something we can hear
That
back.
would be part of the proposed budget, not part of the baseline.
Okay, that's fine. I understand. Thank you.
All right, any other questions or comments? All right, thank you so much for your presentation. Something struck me that you said about partnering perhaps with other committees. BPAC 2 meetings ago did an in-depth look at wayfinding throughout the city. One thing that was mentioned is possibly they could collaborate with the Public Art Committee on creating better wayfinding that kind of tied in both, active transportation and our arts background of our city. So I'd love to link up those committees and see if we can come up with something very cool and very Emeryville. Next up, Budget Advisory Committee.
Can't make a move without good technical support. City councilors, pleasure to address you. Let me first begin by complimenting my committee. It's a lively, well-informed, probing, and alert group. They read sometimes very complicated documents extensively and very well. And they're a good group, and it's a pleasure working with them. I might point out that the liaison member of the council, John Bowders, brings ideas and information and lore, which we dine out on and enjoy. Let's see. Let's get on with it. Our accomplishments during the year: we established Section 115 pension trust and recommended a certain investment strategy. You folks are all familiar with that, and I don't need to go into detail on it. It's all part of our general effort to meet and pay down and be ready for unfunded pension and related obligations down the road. We have discussed extensively revenue opportunities because we're going to need them for reasons I'll conclude with a little later on. We've reviewed the budget at a glance document, a document which we hope will make the budget situation for the city a little more accessible to the general community. And of course, and this is part of our routine and regular duties, we reviewed financial reports, master fee schedules, and investment policies. Top priorities for the future: we're going to monitor our investment portfolio for the pension trust. We're going to continue discussion of revenue opportunities. I know that you folks are also in that game big time, and that's appropriate. And we're going to assess revenue opportunities which have recently put into effect, see how they're doing, see if they're producing the results we hope that they would. Our other priorities, some of these are parts, again, of our regular work, but we're going to be looking at the proposed budget and 5-year capital improvement programs. Nothing unusual about that. That's the kind of work we generally do. We're going to review budget and financial policies. We always do that. We check them. I think, generally speaking, we're happy and content with the general philosophies that guide the budget formations here in the city. They're sound, they're careful, they're cautious, and that's the way we want to keep them. We'll continue to monitor the pension and other related obligations closely. That's a very important thing to do. And we'll continue to monitor the city revenues, fees, expenditures, and the like. Try to keep ourselves in line with the communities with whom we compete in a certain rough and ready way economically, and also make sure that we're getting the resources that we need. We'll also continue to advise on public management best practices. That's also part of our routine. Long-term strategic thinking, and let me add to the script up there, not only are we interested in strategic approaches, but we're also interested in tactical approaches. Sometimes we have emergency meetings, special meetings of the committee, and sometimes we're responding to shifts and changes or possible opportunities or problems. So not just strategy, but tactics is part of what we're up to and interested in. And of course, we always take a long-term approach to the city's financial health, and we also try to make sure that the funds are available for what the city needs to finance the projects that need to be financed. Thank you, and a couple of quick personal observations. I've been serving on the Budget Advisory Committee, or its predecessor, the Finance Advisory Committee. I'm in my 7th year presently at it. 2 big pluses since 2013 that I've noted. The cities and the redevelopment agency attached to the city's debt, principal and interest, used to be about $250 million for a city of about 10,000 people. Presently, I'm happy to report that, again, combined debt is about $114 million. The city rightly took advantage of the Great Recession, the big financial setback, and refinanced both the city's debt and the redevelopment agency's debt, much, I think, to our advantage, not just short term, but especially down the road. And that's worth keeping an eye on. The other thing is, when I first started serving on committees like this, our reserves, the reserves against the budget cycle, were in the 20% ranges. And we were always shooting for 50%, and I'm happy to report, I know you folks know this, we're in that 50% range. So our debt and so forth is in good shape, better shape than it was, and we now have reserves, more reserves than we had in the past. 2 big worries. I know you folks have been keeping an eye on them, and so too have we. Retail tax flow, which is the principal source of our income for the city, is going to plateau and go down in the future. And so we're looking for ways to address and accomplish a proper response to that. And also, we have unfunded pension liabilities. PERS cutbacks in this area, they're a real problem for us in the future, and we need to keep our eye on that. But we will be on guard with both strategies and tactics to keep us above water, and with a little bit of luck and a little skill, we'll stay afloat. Thanks.
Thank you. Any clarifying questions? All right. Public comment. It's running away. All right. Discussion up here. Member Bowders.
Well, I always say I love every committee and every volunteer that we have in this city, but I love the Budget Advisory Committee more than any other committee I've ever served on. The 5 firecrackers who are on that committee make it so much fun to talk about numbers. So I just want to thank you. Your report was succinct and completely appropriate, and it highlights all the things we're doing well. And we're going to focus on the things we're doing here in the city of Emeryville, but it is worth noting for those who don't follow municipal budgets or public agency financing as closely as the small cadre of us who do delve into those weeds, that many other public agencies are not adopting the types of policies we have. They are not sticking to best known practices, and they are not adequately resourcing themselves and the things that they need to do to keep their city and their local economies afloat. And so I'm very grateful to the council and also to the committee for adopting and adhering to those policies, because that will be what prepares Emeryville to deal with the next change in the economy. So thank you for your work.
Thank you for all of your very tactical work. And I really want to get you a clicker, honestly. Desperately need a clicker for next time. I'll work on it. Member Martinez.
I just want to acknowledge the members of the committee and acknowledge the fact that there are members serving on all of our committees who perhaps have served on those committees longer than any of us have been on council. So that institutional knowledge, that long-term thinking, I think that is something that might be lacking, as Member Bowders mentioned in other municipalities. That sometimes folks are elected and they don't think about the long-term consequences of these fiscal policies. But thankfully, we have members of our community, as well as members on council, who are well-versed in that long-term thinking and have really improved the fiscal health of the city. So I want to thank the members of the committee and the chair.
Thank you. All right, last but certainly not least, Economic Development Advisory Committee. Oh, she knows how to do a PowerPoint.
I mean, it's just a computer, right?
Just like bump her out of the way.
Old hat going last, right?
There's going to be graphics on this one.
It's a light show, right?
It's a little boring for me, but I'll try to add some lively, colorful commentary. So my name is Alex LaRoche. I'm the chair of the EDAC, or the Economic Development Advisory Committee. Overall, we are a group of individuals that have different backgrounds. So I myself am a hotelier here in Emeryville. We have some independent contractors, we have some community members, so we're quite the mix of members. And out of that, we get quite the mix of, we'll call it commentary and discussion. That's who I am. The outline for 2018 kind of blends into 2019, so we'll kind of walk through things that we've done, things that we're doing, and then that's where the lively commentary for Callie comes in. So our accomplishments for 2018, it was an interesting year. I've served on this committee this is my second year as a chair, third year as a member. So I've seen it go from just a couple people getting together and talking about what we wish would happen, and then to where we are now, which is a couple people getting together and actually making things happen. So it's been an interesting ride, to say the least, navigating some really big topics that we, of course, provide to the council for feedback and information, and all of it is valuable. But the main priority, I think, is driving us acting as the driving force for the business community. We don't have a chamber here, which is, when I first came to Emeryville, I thought was really strange, because that's what you do when you first come to a city, right? You walk on down to the chamber and you get your basket of goods and information or what have you. And so we don't have that. So with Chad's help and the committee's help, that we are those people. We are the ones with the basket, so to speak, of resources and information that we're providing to new businesses, new people coming to Emeryville, new people wanting to put artists, things, building shops, all of that stuff. We are them. So it's great to finally have this, or to have this platform to kind of talk about what we've done. Priorities for next year. When we look at, we already did that. Look at the year past, actually, we've done quite a bit of work when it comes to our community events. So this was something that came from feedback, people looking for that way to connect. Knowing that there is no longer a chamber, this was really our like brainchild, trying to put something together where people can get together and talk about business things. So it kind of started 2017 December with the Jingle Mingle at the Four Points Sheraton here in Emeryville, and it catapulted off. So we've had 4 total, I guess 5 total is coming up, where we've had over 200 people attend yearly. I can only speak for myself when it comes to like how valuable these are. So anecdotally, I guess, being a hotelier, you know, you have to kind of pick and choose what you invest your time in. We have a responsibility to our own budget, much like the city does, but we are also feeding the city, 12.2% on every single room night that comes through Emeryville. So I think it's a pretty big obligation for us to, not going to say steal, but steal room nights and revenue from our friends over in Oakland and our friends in Berkeley. That's how hotels thrive. And so, you know, even just going to one of these events is able to make some great connections with decathlon who's coming, who, by way of virtue, it's working out to be great, but that's incremental revenue that's coming just from attending an event and actually, you know, using the charming personality of myself and Chad to kind of bring them in actually helps Bill's efforts on the budget committee. We've also done a number of special meetings to talk about the affordable housing bond. This was approved by voters, and it was something that we did bring to the committee to discuss. The facade improvement grant continues to be widely supported by the EDAC, including myself. It is incredibly important to have, we'll just chalk it up to curb appeal, for folks that are coming to Emeryville. As someone who does not live here but works here, I don't really know streets. I mostly know, you know, things, places, stores. I know that there's a KFC on the main road that I need to go to Oakland. If it looked a little better, I might want to put a business next to the KFC. So that's kind of how I look at it from my perspective. I know a lot of our members on the board, or sorry, on the committee actually live in Emeryville, and so it's a whole different set of perspectives, which I think is really rich for our cause. We also discussed kind of I'll call it at length, the parking management plan and outreach and what that involves. Knowing that public transportation is something that we try to advocate as much as we can, mostly because it helps improve kind of what we stand for as a city, I think, keeping things green and whatnot, but also providing valuable feedback, not only from the consumer standpoint, someone who's strictly shopping in Emeryville, but also someone who you know, is coming here to drop their kid off at school, or you know, visiting City Hall. Those things were all reviewed and discussed and of course provided to you guys. This is also the first year we've had a full year of this strategy implementation plan, and that was really great because we were able to kind of take all of these great ideas in years past and put them kind of on one working document, of course, again, with Chad's help, to really navigate some of the topics, and our discussions were a little more focused and we were able to get a lot more done. Reviewing the food service waste reduction ordinance changes and providing valuable and critical comment, knowing that we are wanting to bring businesses to the area and keep businesses here. This was really important for us to discuss and of course provide comment to the staff. Here we go. 2019, it's new year, new us, right? So we've got lots of great and valuable business connecting events coming our way. Our vice chair, Mary Lou, who's not here today, is one of the driving forces, of course, along with Chad, to try to get these together. It's a lot of work to get sponsorships and a venue and food and music and entertainment. It's not your average chamber mixer, which I think is why we've had such great success for this program. The second priority is our marketing materials. We want to be kind of on the forefront of creativity, knowing that we invest a lot of money in art. This is something that's really important for myself as well, because it's trying to get people to stay here is not good enough. We want them to take public transportation, and we want them to spend money in our city so that way they feel like their trip to Emeryville was rich and authentic, and so they come back and stay again. So the reviewing the economic development strategy, and of course getting all of our ducks in a row with the business listing, video content, the smartphone guided tour, which is very exciting because there's only a few towns that have done that. And then of course printed collateral for specific market segments. The other priorities we're working on are monitoring the parking management plan. Again, it's all relative to what we are discussing on a day-to-day basis. The Art Center project is very important, as well as the affordable housing and market labor standards. The hard part, I think, is trying to remain. How do we navigate between being business-friendly city and being an advocate of business that's here at Emeryville? So I think a lot of our discussions this year will, how do we draw the line between both and still being realistic for what's happening out in the real-life world. This, the idea of business nexus or biz nexus, it's gone through a couple, I never get it right, it's always a different name. The idea behind that is really this year we're going to really try to make this super strong. I mean, this is our baby. I remember when we didn't have anything and this was just an idea that Chad threw out, and I think we just I just walked into a meeting and said, I think we should call it Jingle Mingle and I'll host it. And here we are. So people look forward to it. I know Chad promotes it every chance he gets because we're looking for sponsorship and venue. But I'm very excited to serve on this committee, and we've got a lot to report next time we meet next year.
Thank you. Any clarifying questions? Okay, stay there. Public comment? All right, discussion.
So I just want to thank everybody for their service. I always hear us compared to a Chamber of Commerce, and I really like this partnership. It fits Emeryville. It's unique, it's different, it allows us to have some things that other cities wouldn't. We do miss some things from a chamber, but really this gives us that chance. I just want to thank you guys for the hard work. I've been to several of the nexuses or the meetups, and I think they're whatever you want to call them, because people will come out there,
Yeah.
And they've just been wonderful. And so I do want to thank the members who serve. It is challenging to find, you talked about them being all local business people. It's challenging to find small business owners who take the time to come on out and participate. So I want to just take a moment and really, really appreciate it. We struggle sometimes to get everybody there because the chaos of
Like herding cats.
Yeah, well, and because they have so much going on,
Yeah, absolutely.
and when you do all the jobs, you can't afford to miss. So I want to take a special moment and thank everybody.
Thanks.
Any other comment? All right, thank you so much. I've attended several of the next side. They're all great.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Alex.
All right, and let's adjourn that meeting at 6:18. Next up, another special meeting, 2 special meetings, a very special day indeed. 6:15, we're all still here. Do we need to recall the roll, Sherry?
No, I think we're fine.
All right, we're all still here. I'm going to call this special meeting to order at 6:19 p.m. And can we get an approval of the final meeting agenda?
So moved.
All right, moved by Vice Mayor Pat, seconded by Member Martinez.
Councilmember Donahue?
Oh.
Councilmember Bowders?
Aye.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez?
Here.
Vice Mayor
aye.
Pat?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pat?
Yes, and here.
And Mayor Medina.
Aye. We got through it.
That was tough. Throws me off.
All right, any ex parte communications to report?
I talked to Nicolo for 5 minutes outside of the building just now.
I did the same.
All right, yours is going to be longest.
Mr. City Attorney, I have a question. I've spoken with Mr. DeLuca, but in my full-time job, I speak to people about all these bills in the legislature all the time. Do I need to report all of that to you?
We'd be here all night.
I think
your disclosure just now is sufficient.
I talked to a lot of people who are elected in the state legislature about most of the bills that are on this list.
I've also spoken about almost every single bill that has to do with housing or virtual currency. So there we go.
I didn't see a virtual currency one.
Oh, you didn't look hard enough. Next up, let's go for our action item. Niccolo.
Can we take public comment, Madam Mayor?
Oh, public comment for this first. Yeah, public comment. Sorry, they all left. You're still here.
I lived here.
Thank you. Oh, okay. Come on down.
All right, thank you. Madam Mayor, Honorable Vice Mayor and Council members, Niccolo DeLuca from Townsend Public Affairs. This is an update with some deliverables with regards to state legislation and a little bit on federal. Three items. Brief memo, number one. Second is a list of recommended support bills, 16 of them. And then the third is recommended bills to watch. This is based off of last year's successful format of how we essentially feed information to the council. Keep in mind, specifically at the state level, things can move quickly. We want to make sure that the city's dialed in and we've got a seat at the table, because as Councilmember Bowders knows, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu.
Where'd you get that line from?
And I swore I would never say that, but it's fun to say that. And the watch positions and the support positions, obviously, these are just recommendations, open to your feedback and your input, and they're based off of past city policies that we've supported and been active advocates on over the years, such as housing and affordable housing, homelessness, climate change, cannabis, and then health, which is sort of impact on youth, and that's going to be the sugary drinks and the tobacco. The memo also includes legislative dates, so you all kind of know what's in front of us. And basically, for the two matrices, the thought process in my brain was, obviously we want to support our delegation. We want to support Senator Skinner and her legislation and Assemblymember Wicks and her legislation. So I checked in with both offices, and the bills on the support list were bills that both offices would love our support on, and then also on things such as the health and the housing and what have you. I do want to take a point of personal privilege. It's awesome sitting in the audience, seeing how you all interact with your volunteer committees. One of the things that struck me was on the budget committee, there was one item, and I think I'll talk to Chad about it afterwards, which is going to be good for the city. It's on watch, and it's AB 228 from Assemblywoman Aguiar Curry. It's about hemp. The reason why I think it's going to be good for the city is there should be amendments that allows the sale of hemp CBD products at dispensaries. Keep in mind, the city's got one and has other retail that would help with the tax base. So if you saw that on hemp and kind of wondered why, that was the thought process behind it. Other than that, 16 recommended positions, open to definitely adding more in your feedback. And then the thought process would be working with the city manager and the city clerk, maybe every 2 weeks or what have you, updating this list so the watch bills can go to support. You all just take action, let me know, then I draft the support letters for the mayor to sign, and then we do our thing. So that said, appreciate being here and ready to answer any questions.
Okay. If it's okay with everyone, I think we should start by going over the support position list that he's given us, and then we can add more to that if we want to consider those, and the watch list.
Can I add one more thing, and I'll stop talking? This is just a sample. Obviously, whatever you would like to add or subtract, we can do so. Ballpark numbers, 2,576 bills were introduced this year. It's a lot. About 800 are spot bills. With regard to a lot of the CASA housing bills, most of them, of the kind of 10, a lot of them are going to be going through amendments. So we're definitely on top of that. So with that said, now I'll stop talking.
Okay, and I will take public comment before we get into discussion on this. Nope, okay. Let's start at the top then. Are there any on this list of 16, is it, for support?
Correct.
That anyone wants to pull for discussion, or do we all agree on all of them?
Wait, I'm sorry, where are we at?
The support position list. We can, do you want me to roll through it?
Hold on, I'm on the wrong list.
Yeah, I'm a no on one of those.
Okay. Well, then maybe we'll take them one by one. We think there will be some. Assembly Bill 18, firearms excise tax. We're all okay with supporting that? I am, yeah. Okay. Christian?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. Vice Mayor. AB 234, Nazarian, income tax is credit for seismic retrofits. Yeah, I'm strongly in support. AB 286, absolutely Bont is lowering the excise tax from 15 to 11%. Yes. And I'd like to send a support letter into committee for that, definitely.
Support that idea.
Great. Wix, property taxation exemption, leased rental housing. Everyone in support?
I'm good with these so far.
Yep, okay, cool. Wix 726, housing down payment assistance. Yes?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Bonta, coming out again, sugar sweetened beverages, AB 764.
Yep.
Yes.
765, health checkout aisles for Healthy Families Act.
This is the one I'm a no on.
Would require the stores defined to make available.
Do you want to discuss?
Let's discuss. Could you do an overview, Nicola, so we can discuss?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a package of both the Senate and the Assembly, but mostly in the Assembly, addressing sugary drinks, whether it's labeling, restrictions. This is from Assemblywoman Wicks. It basically has requirements of what you can and cannot put in the aisles. So, you know, whether you go to Safeway or Trader Joe's, a lot of the marketing is based on the moment you walk in, kind of what they hit you with. So put some of the some restrictions on that. More than likely, public health is going to work on that. This bill will have additional amendments just to strengthen it. And I know that this is near and dear to not only her heart, but her office's heart. So.
Okay. Christian, do you want to explain maybe you want to start us off with why this is a problem for you?
You know, I'm all for the removal of the sugary beverages. We act like fruit juice is any better, and same thing with, while milk is somewhat better, it is still, you know, I'm a pro-water kind of guy, so I don't like the idea that we're actually saying sugary beverages are bad, but then putting a sugary beverage on the exempt list. So that's my challenge with this. It's a silly challenge, but it's really
Honestly,
important.
I'm inclined to agree with you. I don't think milk is particularly something that we should be encouraging kids to drink more of. The calcium studies were largely funded by the dairy industry, and children don't absorb calcium from milk particularly well. So I will share you in polling away from that one.
Do you want to move it to the watch list to see if your concerns are addressed?
That's fine.
That works.
Yes, I'm happy to move it to the watch list if everyone's in agreement. Yeah. If we're talking almond milk here, entirely different ballgame for me personally.
There's environmental challenges with that.
Less severe than with regular cow's milk, however.
Agree.
All right, next up, 836 Bay Area. This is such an Emeryville conversation. Clean Air Incentive Program.
I would just like to, as a member of the Air District's Legislative Committee, note that this is something that, as representative to the city of Emeryville and as a representative to Alameda County, I'm working on. So I don't know that there's no conflict here because it's in the course of representing another public agency, I believe. But I just want to check with the city attorney if there's any conflict with me asking to support something that we're working on at a different agency.
No.
No. Okay, I would ask everyone to support this.
Support. Absolutely support it. And I thank you for your work on this. All right, Skinner, Keep Californians Housed Act.
That's going to be amended with more detail, but essentially it provides tenant protection and rental assistance.
Support. I totally support. Yeah. All right, SB 34, cannabis donations.
Yes.
Yes.
Yep, yes. Hill, SB 38, flavored tobacco products. It prohibits a tobacco retailer for intent to sell or trade flavored tobacco products. Can you explain to me this?
Yeah, absolutely. So he's got two bills. The first one says essentially, so you know when you vaping, there's like blueberry flavored or raspberry flavored. It'd be to make those illegal.
To make all flavored tobaccos illegal.
Correct.
Ooh.
Including menthol.
Yep.
So I know I don't know if that stays in or stays out. I know there's some sensitivities around that. And then the second one, 39, is with regards to wait, I don't want to mistake the two. The other one is then if you order tobacco online, it comes to your house, you have to do age verification.
Oh.
So you have to be 21 to sign off on it.
one.
Just like it is for liquor.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so for the first one, has any other state made flavored tobacco products illegal?
I don't know, but a lot of cities are.
Cities, yeah.
Okay.
San
New
Leandro.
York had, yeah.
Yeah, there's a couple states on the East Coast that have.
And so is San Francisco.
San Leandro.
San Leandro,
How are they all
San
getting it? Because
Pablo.
I'm getting clouds of pineapple vape in my face every time I'm walking around San Francisco.
I
It's
don't
very
know if that's-
popular, isn't it?
I think through the mail.
Okay.
Just throwing
Okay,
that out there.
does anyone have feelings about these?
I support both.
Yeah, I'm
Support.
okay with that.
Yeah.
Sure. Less me getting stuck in pineapple clouds. Then SB 42, Getting Home Safe Act.
Support.
Can I say I love this one?
Yeah.
Like, this is letting people out at 12:01 or, yeah, I'm sorry. This is just one of those things that is brilliant, and I'm so upset it's taken this long to get to.
When we draft the support letter, we say, we love this bill.
Please.
Please.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. No, let's
We can all
draft
take a
fun
picture of us doing the
support
thumbs
letters.
up.
There we go.
Right.
So.
SB 51 Hertzberg, I'm going to recuse myself from this one because I'm working on similar legislation. I've had conversation with their office about this.
So I'll take the lead and say I support and think we all should.
Yes. Support.
Vote on that separately.
Yes.
SB 347, Mawning, sugar sweetened beverages, safety warnings.
I'm assuming it's the same thoughts as the Wicks.
Yeah,
Support.
sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, another cannabis one. Trade samples cultivation tax exemption from Skinner, SB 475.
Which is just like the Wiener bill, basically saying that, there's track and trace, and so if you do the samples, you don't have to do, or you don't get taxed on giving out the free samples.
Yeah,
Support.
I'm in support of this.
First one's free.
Okay, well, that was pretty easy for the ones that you put on the list. I think we might have some to add to possibly support. Who would like to add any bills for our consideration to support? Member Martinez, let's go first.
I don't believe our mayor will be able to vote on this one, but I want to add AB 953.
I will also definitely have to recuse myself.
Yes.
So we're adding to support?
For support,
Okay.
and for my colleagues, AB 953 was introduced by Assemblymember Ting. That would allow cities and counties to determine whether they will allow cannabis businesses to pay taxes via stablecoin, and would allow the state to accept tax payments via stablecoin. Stablecoin is, I just learned this term today, a digital asset that has price stable characteristics pegged to United States dollars, and US dollars serve as collateral for this digital asset.
And just to be fully transparent for our residents here, I did not ask Member Martinez to bring this forward. I did
speak.
draft this legislation. Do I need to bounce from the room or? No, we're good. Okay. Discuss.
She can be up here while we discuss it.
Um,
That's the feedback you're giving? City attorney's making a face. I would like to know.
Yeah.
You should recuse yourself. If you're going to recuse yourself, then you
Out.
should step off the dais and you should leave the room.
And pass the gun.
on both items.
What?
And that would also apply to SB 51 if that gets discussed.
I think we already supported that, so I merely abstained from SB 51.
And I'm just, for logistics, while then we do the support letters for those two, I would do it from the vice mayor, I'm assuming.
That's correct. We'll also be recommending that this was scheduled as a special meeting so that you could take a vote and clarify by your vote which items any of you would be recused on. So if you, once you conclude your discussion, if you could take separate votes.
Could
Sorry, separate votes on. I just realized I have the floor.
The items that you can
The chair.
sorry, Vice Mayor, the items that you can collectively vote on together would be taken in one vote, and then
Okay.
the items where one or more of you is recused would be taken in separate votes.
Perfect. Okay. So I did not look at Member Donahue. Do you support this measure, or do you need to see it?
I like this measure because it just seems like it's creating economic efficiency. People paying
Okay.
their tax more efficiently.
So I see three of us saying to move this to the support list.
Can I, before we do that, may I ask?
Oh, sorry.
I'd like to ask some
We're
questions
recused.
about it. So using stablecoin, this is a revenue source as cannabis, and I understand the issue with banking and wire transfers, and that's not my concern with it. understand the need to work around that. But how is stablecoin valued, and what is the way in which the market for stablecoin variates or fluctuates? If a cannabis industry takes in revenue of X amount of dollars and they remit under our tax plan 2% of that to us, and that's transferred between financial agencies using this stablecoin, it's potentially not subject or susceptible to the regular financial market because it's got a different valuation base. So I'm just curious how that impacts the value of the taxes we ultimately collect if it's transferred and the valuation is altered in the course of its transfer. If it's held in a crypto bank and the valuation of cryptocurrency is altered before it's returned to us for use, is there any potential chance that the value has changed from cash dollar?
That is a great question. I don't know. I could research. I know it's never good to assume anything, but I'm going to have to put my faith in the author as a budget chair, that he feels confident enough that the money is secure and the valuation is secure. I'm going to look at Councilmember Martinez, because it sounds like she knows a little bit more about this than I do.
Oh, just because I read it today, but I think the intent of the author is that the cryptocurrency is pegged to the U.S. dollar. And it's not that the cities or counties or even the state need to be able to accept the stable coin. There can be an intermediary that would immediately, whatever taxes are due, they would pay the amount in dollars. Someone who is allowed to bank, as you're probably familiar with the banking difficulties of the cannabis industry. So that's I know that's the intent of the bill, is to have predictability for those cities, counties, and the state.
I'm going to abstain from a decision. I would like us to research it more, but there's 3 people in support. I'll abstain.
Yeah, I'm still in support.
Yeah, I'm still in support, so we have that on the support list. Okay. Member Martinez, any others you'd like to add?
No, that was it. Thank you.
Member Bowders.
I have 3, Mr. Vice Mayor. The first one is Assembly Bill 40, which is a Ting bill. Assembly Bill 40 would require the state to develop a plan to have all vehicles in the state that are cars and all light-duty trucks to be emission-free by 2040. It would require that the state plan be in place by the end of 2021. It's authored by Assemblymember Phil Ting as well from San Francisco, and I think we should support that bill.
I support.
It's consistent with the objectives of both the Bay Area Air Quality Management District and the Alameda County Transportation Commission as well, I should say. So,
But this is all new cars.
all vehicles that would be available for purchase or use would have to be emissions free, and it would also include light duty trucks.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Seems good.
Okay, thank you. So that was my first one. My second one was Senate Bill 144 by Holly Mitchell. And this bill right now is intent language, but it's I think sufficient language to take a position on. It would essentially eliminate all criminal court fines and fees on a defendant who lacks the ability to pay. So the judge would be able to conduct an evaluation and determine whether or not a person could pay fees, and it's going to be the appropriate fees. So it's not necessarily going to be all fees, but I think that when we think about how people relate to the community economically and through employment, one of the things we have to consider is that court decisions and fines and fees issued by municipalities are not dischargeable in bankruptcy. They can be reorganized in bankruptcy law, but they can't be discharged. And so if a person is sentenced for an offense and there's a number of fines and fees that are attached to it, those are generally gain a 9% interest rate under most court proceedings in California. And it becomes almost impossible for a poor person to ever pay it. And then it becomes something garnishable when they do get a job, or it's a barrier to them absolutely remaining independent. And so I think the legislature is making the right analysis. There is a court case called Duenas which also ruled similarly to this, that said fines and fees that are not based on a defendant's ability to pay are unconstitutional. And so Holly Mitchell is looking at this bill from that lens, I think, and I think it would be a positive statement for a local government to support making sure that we don't use a hatchet to apply criminal justice to people when it comes to financial resources. So I would ask that we support that bill.
I'll support that.
Support.
Support.
3, okay. And then the last one I had was SB 50, which is on the watch list.
Yeah, I should have put that on the.
And perhaps others don't want to support this at this time, but SB 50 would have serious impact on the development of housing in transit-rich areas, areas that have a node with a high transit frequency, so bus visits every 15 minutes or during peak and every 20 minutes during off-peak, nodes around transit stations like BART and Muni, and it would basically forcibly upzone. With some exceptions, they would give cities outs that didn't want to comply with state law. They'd have the ability to develop their own plans as long as they meet certain minimum requirements. And I would just say that Senator Wiener made significant changes to SB 827 last year, and this bill is an appropriate bill at a time when we have a housing crisis. And I think as a city we should support it.
I support this bill.
Support.
Support.
I'm a no.
We might be the one city that sends in a letter in support of this one.
I have one more bill that I wanted to ask.
Oh, yeah.
Nicola about.
Yes.
AB 1080, which would enact the California Circular Economy and Plastic Pollution Reduction Act, would reduce 75% of single-use packaging and products sold and distributed in California by 2030. Do you have any background on this one?
No, but I could quickly get that.
Okay. I'd like to at least add that to the watch list.
To the watch list, okay.
What did you want to get information about?
AB 1080.
What was the question?
I wanted to know, Nicola's take on it, if there are any
I mean, there's been
pitfalls.
a lot when it comes to packaging. I know there's been a greater focus on reducing everything that's in
source reduction. As the board member who serves on Stop Waste, we, as an agency, have moved our focus to upstream and supporting our legislature on ways to really get at the problem, because we can't recycle our way out of plastic pollution. So this is I apologize I didn't have this on my list earlier, but it just occurred to me that I read an article on it earlier this week, and I'm hoping that this is the right solution. These are the right steps to take now, but I'd love to get your analysis on it.
I mean, selfishly, just looking quickly at the author and the co-authors, it's pretty progressive members. Gonzalez, Friedman, Ting, Senator Allen, Senator Skinner, and others. What I can do is, thinking out loud, it's almost going to be like 2 tiers on the watch list. Bills that I know are about to be amended, they could probably quickly move from watch to support. This could be one of them. But get a fact sheet quickly, and then through the city manager, get that and send it to you all.
Yeah, I don't have any specific reservations about this bill, but
And I'll talk to the author's office, kind of get a sense where they think it's going and what have you.
Thank you.
Any other bills people would like to add to discuss?
Could that include one I'd like created?
No. I do have one, AB 290 by Wood. This is quite similar to a bill that was introduced last year that takes on the dialysis industry. And what this bill does is it prevents dialysis industries from kind of doing this profit gouging scam they've got going, where they steer patients away from using Medicare or Medi-Cal and refer them through the American Kidney Foundation, which is a nonprofit, which then suggests they go with alternative insurance, so that then DeFida and Fresenius get much higher reimbursement rates than through Medi-Cal and Medicare. Let's keep in mind these are the same companies that are actively counseling people to not put themselves on kidney transplant watch lists. These are price gouging companies. This is a terrible scam, something that is damaging to our economy as well, and I strongly support this bill. And I'd ask for you to support
the bill.
Yes.
Thanks. Learned a lot about dialysis companies. Nothing good. It is AB 290. It's been introduced by Wood. Unless you have any input on this, Nicola.
Nope.
It was quite a fight last year.
Sounds like it.
Yeah. Wasn't directly involved, but okay. So that is one that I want to support. And on the watch list, you've got 68 and 69, right, from Ting?
Yes.
Those are the ADU ones. Okay,
Yes.
we'll talk about that then.
I have 68, I'll add 69.
Okay. They're both ADU bills.
Yes.
All right, anything else to add to support? All right, let's go on to the watch list.
Just quickly in summary for support, AB 953, AB 40, SB 144, SB 50, AB 290, and then AB 1080 goes to watch, but it sounds like it's going to move quickly from watch to support. Cool.
Okay.
I'm sure
I feel like an auctioneer.
Good choices. All right.
May I make a suggestion, Madam Mayor, that we actually make a motion on these items before we move to the next part of the agenda?
Yes. But how do I handle recusing myself from the motion?
So, Madam Mayor, we'd suggest, what I would suggest, I should say, is that we indicate the list that would not include SB 51 or AB 953 and have those as a separate motion. And then I understood you to move AB 765 to watch as well. So the list would be everything that's included in the watch list.
You mean the support list?
Except.
Support list.
Sorry. Everything that's included in the support list except AB 765, SB 51, AB 953. And then I heard some separate positions on a couple of the items that you might want to, we have to figure out how we're going to register either of those. We could take those as separate votes as well. So that would be SB 50 would be taken separately. I think that was it.
Well, so I'd like to clarify, I don't think that's a complete set of instructions. So it's the support list. It removes AB 765, SB 51, AB 953, but we add SB 144 and SB 40 to that motion, which I didn't hear previously. And then we would separately take motions on the other four items, which are AB 765, AB 953, SB 51, and SB 50.
I think we added more than that to the support list, that we also added 290.
And 228.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, yes.
So you
I
missed
I would
228.
like to make a motion.
I'll second that.
Wait, I just want to be clear, 228 is an AB, right, not an SB?
Correct, it's AB.
Okay. I'd like to make a motion to approve the support list provided in the staff packet from Townsend, removing from that list AB 965 and SB 51, because AB 953 and SB 50 aren't on that list. Adding to the list AB 40, SB 144, AB 228, and AB 290. I'd like to move approval of support position.
Did we all, I did not hear removing 765.
It's not on the list, yeah.
It's not on the list,
Not on the
okay.
list.
Then with that, I'll second.
It's on the
It's
list,
on the
it's
list.
moving to the
No,
watch
I'm saying not on my list of my motion. It's not in my motion.
Oh.
It's not in the motion.
So
Would
can
you
I
like
make
me
a-
to name every bill by name?
No.
Okay, then it's not in the motion.
So you're not removing it from the motion, or it's not in the motion?
It's not in my motion. It's going to be voted on separately.
Got it.
Okay.
That was what we were told. We needed to have someone was recused from that.
No, 765
seven-
is the milk
one.
bill.
That we wanted to put on the watch list instead.
Oh, it's going to the watch list.
Yes.
Okay, so it's not in my motion to support. Because they want it on a watch list is what I'm hearing.
Correct, but it's on the staff memo, and we need to remove it from the staff memo.
Okay, it's
which is my friendly amendment to your
perfect. I
motion.
accept the amendment.
All
Please
right.
call.
So moved by Member Batters and seconded by Vice Mayor Pats.
Councilmember Bouders?
Aye.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pats?
Aye.
And Mayor Medina.
Aye.
Then the next action would be on SB 50.
I'll move to take a position of support on SB 50.
Second.
All right. Moved by Member Batters, seconded
Which
by
one
Member
is SB
Martinez.
50? I'm
The
sorry.
Wiener bill on zoning, you
You're
don't
no
like it.
I'm a no on this, okay.
That's why I seconded for you.
Thank you.
Councilmember Bouders?
Aye.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pats?
No.
And Mayor Medina.
Aye.
And now with Mayor Medina recused, you would take a consideration of a motion on SB 51 and AB 953.
Do I have a motion on those two?
I will move both.
Can I ask for separate motions?
You can.
I will move 50. Sorry, 51.
I'll second SB 51.
Okay. Can I get a vote?
Councilmember Bouders?
Aye.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pats?
Aye.
And Mayor Medina is recused.
So the motion carries. Okay. And do I have another motion?
Move 953.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
Okay. I have a motion and a second. Can I get a vote?
Councilmember Bouders?
Abstain.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pats?
Aye. And the motion
And Mayor
carries.
Medina is recused.
And so we'll invite the mayor back in. I will not jump the gun and keep moving the agenda forward this time. It was a coup. I got a taste of power and didn't want to let go.
It's a friendly coup.
All right.
So then the watch list would include AB 765 as you're discussing the watch list.
Yes. All right, for the watch list, do we want to pull anything for discussion, or do we want to accept the watch list as is? We can move down it together if we want. AB 10, income tax credits for low-income housing and farm worker housing, CHU. AB 11, also CHU, Community Redevelopment Law of 2019. AB 36, Bloom Affordable Housing Rental Prices. AB 38, Wood Fire Safety. Just stop me if you want to, guys. AB 68, Ting Land Use Accessory Dwelling Units, and we're going to add in AD 69, Ting, also ADU related. Everyone's cool with that. AB 131, Cunningham, Electronic Smoking Devices, Manufacturers, Advertising. AB 138, Bloom, California Community Health Fund. AB 147, Burke, use taxes, collection, retailer engaged in business in the state, marketplace facilitators. That's a fun title.
Yeah, that is a fun title. This is similar to Member Glazer's bill last year, the SEA 20 and the retail where point of sale, things of that nature. This is tied to the Wayfair court case.
I need to recuse myself from this one as well.
So,
I'd like to discuss this one, actually.
okay.
Yeah.
If you want to finish the list, and we'll come back
We'll
to
go-
this. so
we'll
you
go
can
back to
also
it.
keep going
Yeah.
down. Okay.
AB 228, didn't we move that? Or you put that on watch rather than on our support list? Is that correct?
I'm sorry, say again.
That's the hemp bill?
Yeah, 228 moved to your support list.
Okay, so it's not on
We
there.
can keep watching it.
AB 29, nothing more fun than watching hemp grow. CHU, emergency preparedness. AB 362, Eggman, controlled substances overdose prevention program. AB 429, Nazarian, seismically vulnerable buildings inventory.
Wow.
Huh?
I said wow.
Yeah, have fun. AB 724, Wix, rental data registry. People are creating a lot of databases this year.
Yeah.
AB 725, Wix general plans, housing element, above moderate income housing. AB 923, Wix, Bay Area Rapid Transit District, electricity procurement and delivery. Sounds like a Diane bill. AB 1488, 81, Bonta, tenancy. AB 1482, CHU, property, owner's rights. AB 1483, Grayson Housing Development Project Applications, reporting. AB 1484, Grayson Mitigation Fee Act, housing developments. AB 1485, Wix, housing development streamlining. AB 1486, Ting, local agencies surplus land. AB 1487, CHU, land use housing element.
If I could just quickly jump in.
Yeah.
All the 1480s,
Mhm.
81 through 87
CASA ones.
are all the CASA bills that are going to be amended.
Yeah, okay. Do you want to give us a preview on that amendment?
I mean, I would. It's hearsay. Tenant rights, rental protections, a lot of different options. I suspect the Grayson bills will move, and if certain topics need to be addressed during the CASA discussion, that will be the vehicle to make some of those changes. The Ting surplus land, That was last year. Same,
Yeah.
it was amended. I think the amendment's coming back. I think the only thing that could be of concern for the city is how you deal with your former redevelopment property. Other than that, it's whatever you declared as surplus. So I think that language is going to be available soon. That will also quickly share that with the city.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. ACA 1, Aguirre Curry.
That item I'd like to move to the support list.
Which one?
ACA 1, I think we should move to the support list. ACA 1 would change the requirements for California voters in local government elections to approving how a bond, a real estate tax bond, down to a 55% vote threshold for public infrastructure or affordable housing, including rehabilitation and construction. I think that local governments who are trying to do this, who currently face the higher voter threshold, I think this constitutional amendment that is a good one, and we should support it.
Support. I'll support that.
Yep.
Okay. SB 4, McGuire Housing. SB 5, Beal Local State Sustainable Investment Incentive Program. SB 6, Beal Housing Production. SB 13, Rykowski Accessory Dwelling Units. Hot topic. SB 15, Portantino Redevelopment. SB 18, Skinner Keep Californians Housed.
That's a misprint. My bad, because you guys already supported that.
Yeah, and SB 50 we can take out too.
Yeah.
I just did that. SB 143, Skinner Junk Dealers and Recyclers. Non-ferrous material, payment by general use prepaid cards. Okay. SB 234, Skinner Family Daycare Homes. SB 330, Skinner Housing Crisis Act of 2019.
I think we should support SB 330.
Okay. Do you want to give us a little preview on SB 330, Nicola?
It's a lot. It's a big bill. She's doing it with Senator Weiner. Deals with some issues about parking, some issues on by right. Her office even said they took a lot of different ideas and put it in this bill. Obviously, Senator Skinner is a hell of an author. She's great for the city. I think this could be one of the harder CASA bills. I know she's all in. She's very focused on it. My only hesitancy on not putting this on support is how quickly could it change? And so I know what they put out, definitely a couple of pages, it's a lot more than a spot bill, but I don't know if they're planning any immediate changes.
I'm happy to leave it on watch in light of that. That's fine.
I'm happy to leave it on watch as well. Okay. But, you know, in your tier 1 watch list. Okay.
With 1080.
With 1080.
Yeah.
1080, then 330.
Yeah. Cool. All right. So the ones that we pulled, I think were just 147, which I will go recuse myself from because it's going to define.
Yeah, and I think my only hesitancy on 147 was I expect a lot of changes on this bill. Vast topic, just getting started in the policy committees. Assemblywoman Burke, I mean, she's the chair of Rev and Tax.
It's already listed as being in appropriations, so I'm concerned about it is already in appropriations. It already went through policy, and it's the first week of March. That's very fast.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what the motivation for that is on her part. I mean, she's the chair of Rev and Tax, but that makes me doubly concerned. She's probably trying to be the peace broker after last year on this issue, but I think we should be very, very cognizant of what happens with this bill in particular. This is very similar to a bill we took position on last year to oppose with Senator Glazer that would have undermined tax revenue base in Emeryville. And so I just think it's important. The content is different. It's not the same. I get that, and I haven't had a chance to study it in depth. But yeah, I don't know that I can recommend a position exactly right now. But I think that we should have, whether Niccolo prepares something for staff to present at the next council meeting, I think we need to be prepared to take action quickly on this. Do you have a comment on that?
Mr. Vice Mayor, I was actually going to recommend that we bring this back as a separate item as soon as possible.
Okay.
Yeah.
just pull it out from the
Yes,
whole agenda.
That's what I'd like
and-
to do. So if that's okay.
So
Mr.
staff can do that.
So that's fine. I think we have agreement on that?
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's fine.
So for purposes of your action tonight, you can leave it on the watch list with the understanding that we're going to be treating it separately.
That's fine.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, and with that, the mayor can return
Unless you want to take that as a separate action to leave it on the watch list.
right now.
It's on the watch list already, right?
But this way,
But
we don't
when
have the
you
issue
vote
of
on
her
the watch
not
list-
voting on the watch list on this one item if we just voted
Oh,
ourselves.
I'll move to keep it on the watch list if that's what you need.
Second.
Great. Vote?
Councilmember Bouders?
Aye.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pats?
Aye.
And Mayor Medina is recused.
And with that, we can invite the mayor back.
Mayor?
We lost her. Just to vote on all
That? I had a conversation with the city attorney and the Townsend consultant about making sure none of my bills were on the lists.
Mine wasn't either.
I have 12 bills. None of them are on these lists for a reason.
Yeah, to be fair, I forgot about that one. Okay. So, are we done with watch list?
We need to move the
We
watch.
got through all of it.
So I think I've tracked it properly, so
All
I'd
right.
like to make a motion to, 765 was already on the watch list, or we moved it to the watch list?
You moved it to watch.
And but we didn't vote to do that just yet. Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to approve the remaining items on the watch list that were not subject to the prior motion we just had. I'd like to add AB 765 to the watch list. I'd like to add AB 69 to the watch list. And I'd like to add AB 1080 to the watch list. And I'd also, with that motion, at the same time, like to move a position of support on ACA 1 and remove it from the watch list. That's my motion.
I'll second.
All right, let's call the roll. Oh, motion by Member Batter, second by Vice Mayor Pats.
Councilmember Bouders?
Aye.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pats?
Aye.
And Mayor Medina.
Aye. All right. While I was gone, is there anything that needs to be done with 147? Or is that?
We gave staff direction.
Okay. Next. All right. Well, I guess we are done with this unless we want to create an opposed list right here and now. But a little early in the season.
So what I will do next is draft a lot of letters for your signature,
Okay.
work with the clerk on getting those, and then follow up with the city manager on 147. So appreciate it. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, before you leave, I did want to, Madam Mayor, Member Donahue asked about creating a bill, and the deadline to create a bill has passed, but it's always sometimes possible to include an idea in a bill as a support if amended. So if it would be okay, Madam Mayor, I'd like to hear Mr. Donahue's proposal.
Yes, please go for it.
That we have proportional deterrence based on income for our parking management. And the idea would be that your ticket price would be based in ratio to a logarithm generated from last year's California income tax. So only you would know what your ticket is, except if you disagree, and then you go to traffic court like normal and see a judge. So it would just be an logarithm attached to last year's income tax. So it would be proportional. So we would, as a city, decide what the proportions would be. If we say your income is X in our city, your parking ticket will be this. If your income is Y, your parking ticket would be this. So we would be deciding as a city what is proportional deterrence for parking, but we need the state to give us access so that we can create this logarithm.
Can I ask a couple questions?
Yes.
My questions, Mr. Donahue, Councilmember Donahue, are just from a hypothetical situation. Do you see some problems, perhaps, with how we would assess tickets to people who either maybe have income but don't file tax returns?
We would have some minimum we determine. If they don't file a tax return, we might have, some
But a low-income person could also not file a tax return because they make below a certain amount. So if we had a minimum fine, we'd be potentially charging people who have both no income and people who have high income but don't file their returns on time with fines, right?
That's possible, yes. It wouldn't be perfect, but it would be better than our random assignment of flat tax.
I'm okay with the concept of income-based or proportional deterrence, but the idea of setting up a logarithm that is tied to your income tax returns, for me, opens up a lot of privacy and data security concerns. That would be kind of marrying two different, very different databases in a way the state has not done, and I don't know that the state can technically execute, considering that they can't figure out how to register people to vote at the DMV. I would maybe some concept of proportional deterrence, but I would not, I don't want to prescribe a logarithm that links to very secure information that has privacy concerns around it. It's not something I could support.
I'd like to make a suggestion then. I'd like to suggest that we just ask our excellent lobbyist if he would just do a cursory review of transportation-related bills to see if there are any bills related to parking fines that could also be under the Public Safety Code, and just see if there's any attempts, because with the Duenas decision, there are efforts in the legislature underway to amend the way we impose fees, and I think we took a position of support on a bill earlier this evening that was similar to what Mr. Donahue is promoting, and it may or may not be possible to amend that idea into one of these bills, but we could ask Townsend to look into that. I think that's an appropriate step.
Happily, and I could add more. I spoke with Assembly Trans staff and Senate Trans staff, whereas they understand the overall concept. Their concern was statewide, just the appropriation of doing it. They did say, however, the vehicle code would give cities flexibility. We had an awesome discussion, and then working with the BOE to be like, how do we get this information?
Yeah.
So. I'll look at transportation bills, see what openings we have.
Call Manny in Assembly Trans and tell him
I did. He was the first person I talked to.
Tell him to get on it.
And he's like, dude, serious. Assembly, I want to say, Assemblymember Frazier, his staff was helpful. They're like, we understand the overall concept. There's been bills in the past on some of the impounding and what have you. And so they kind of coached me on different code sections. So we could play around, draft some language, hold it in our back pocket, get a chance to amend. There we go.
Yep.
Cool.
Okay.
I'll tell Manny you called for him specifically.
Tell Manny that you talked to me.
All right. Does that wrap us up on this item?
Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Very helpful to do it in
Madam
person,
Mayor.
so thank you.
Thank you for guiding us through this
For moving it so
painlessly.
efficiently.
All right, let's adjourn this at 7:07. And we have a full whopping 8-minute break until our next meeting. Go, go, go.
Now's your chance.
All right. All right, it's 7:15. I'm going to call the City of Emeryville successor agency to the Emeryville Redevelopment Agency meeting to order. Let's call the roll.
Councilmember Bouders?
Here.
Councilmember Donahue?
Here.
Councilmember Martinez?
Here.
Vice Mayor Pats? And Mayor Medina.
Here. Can we get approval of the final agenda?
I move.
I'll second.
Just to shake things up. Moved by Member Donahue, seconded by Vice Mayor Pats.
Councilmember Bouders?
Aye.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pats?
Aye.
And Mayor Medina.
Aye. Any ex parte communications? I have none. No. Okay. Public comment for the consent agenda or items not on this agenda? Mr. Carpio.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is André Carpio. First, I want to make for everybody's concern is that in this new building here, when it's raining, you get rained out. There is no cover in both entrances, in the back and in the front. Only the old building has a cover so that you have time to fold your umbrella. Well, maybe, I don't know how you come here, maybe with swimsuit or something, you know, but I got wet. So anyway, and my umbrella folded up. So anyway, that's the one thing. The second thing on the private session there, I wanted to make a comment, but I did not know if I was authorized to do it. It's about the fuel efficiency that you voted for, that cars to be cleaned by 2040, and that is impossible. I mean, it's easy to vote yes when you don't know, but me, I voted no because there is mechanical features that are impossible to meet. And not only there is no mechanical feature, but there is a cycle that is impossible to meet. And the cycle that is impossible to meet is a cycle, the dilution. For instance, in a digestive system, there is no separation between the intake and the out process. There is an area where the food that has been digested and the food that is not digested are mixing. And there is a source of indigestion for those who do not have a system that is well regulated. Same thing of the weather. You would say, I want all sunshine, no cloud. It's impossible. So you have to revise your vote on this year. I could feed you a lot on the technical basis of the product of combustion, you know, which was part of my dissertation. But the Assembly Bill 40 by Filting is nonsense. It's unreachable. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Good evening, Mayor Medina, City Council members. My name is Dave Ennis. I have some property here in Emeryville at 41st and Adeline. And first and foremost, some years ago, you don't know anything about this, I don't think, but anyway, Charlie Bryant, sorry, I'm not going to put you on the spot, Charlie, I'm not doing it. Anyway, he tried to help me, Charlie tried to help me a lot, and I was just too stupid to figure it out. But anyway, I wanted to say thanks. It's just doing your job, I know that, okay, but thank you anyway. The other thing is, I don't come down to Emeryville all that often anymore, and I was curious to know, I've seen some of the, and I know the homeless folks around here got no choices and no place to go. It's a sad state of affairs. I'm not pissed off at them, excuse me. I'm not annoyed at any of these people, but since some of these encampments are encroaching on this part of town, my property at 41st and Adeline, they're in there every day. And they're just looking for some way to stay alive. I know that, I do. But I'm going by Pack and Save and looking at those vehicles on the street. Where's this going? That's a question I have to you to some extent. So considering those people don't have any options, and our society can't afford to house them all or take care of them all, what are we going to do? Any ideas? This is going down, Emeryville's starting a great place, and I can assure you I have received, Nora Davis told me not to sell 25 years ago, and I love that woman. But I live a long ways away, and it's pretty tough for me to deal with situations. Now, not so much. But is there any, I guess I'm just coming here today to ask, how are we going to solve this problem? I suppose you folks have discussions about what to do with some of these dead vehicles, and that are, I mean, these are turning into landfills, not a parking lot. Huh? Where's this going to go? It looks to me like it's on a downhill slide with no end in sight. As far as, I'm getting ripped off every day. I don't know how the other residents in this town are doing, but my, 25 folks that live on my property, they're pretty concerned about it, and therefore I am. So I came here to ask any of you, is there a place to go, a meeting that's to be had, a something versus nothing on this situation? Besides, I'm pretty sure these police officers drive by those situations and know what they're looking at. What are we going to do? Any ideas? I'm asking you.
This is public comment, and because it's not an agendized item, we actually legally cannot discuss
Oh,
it.
you can't respond?
Yeah.
Okay, I
Yeah.
understand.
Sorry.
I got what I came for today. But I understand that you can't make comments about that. I just figured that out. So anyway, I wish them and everybody down here the best. It looks pretty bleak to me.
Thank you, and that was your time. Thank you. Any other public comment for consent agenda or items not on the agenda?
A lot of breath.
No worries. Thanks for running up.
Sharon Wilshire, 45th Street Artists Cooperative. And I just wanted to mention that March is Youth Art Month in Emeryville. Sorry, I just ran up the stairs. Youth Art Month in Alameda County and all across the United States. So I think the city probably has celebrated this for over 30 years. And I just wanted to mention that there is an artwork display here in the upper link, which is available for people to come and visit all month. And the Artist Cooperatives program includes ceramic work this spring semester with hand-thrown work. This is our 36th year for our Artists in the Schools program. But I also wanted to mention some other enrichment programs that are happening at the school. One is Nancy Carpin Dancers, who provided movement and dance classes for first and second graders in the fall. A really exciting project for me, the Poets in the Schools, which actually involved adults at ECCL, Anna Yates, Emory Unified, and they actually have published an anthology, which there's a copy of it out in the link, and I think they're going to have a book signing. Just very exciting to be able to actually have a publication. And one of the things that they did is that they didn't actually identify all the poets, but they didn't identify their ages or their grade level, because they wanted everybody to just be able to present as a body, and I think it's just great. So we have from Kala, Tamara Paras with a photography project that was in the fall semester, and then Chelsea Smith with fiber arts this semester, and certainly want to mention Emory High School with their wonderful self-portraits with the art instructor from Emory, Teresa Munoz, and Andrea Harvey with Anna Yates. So anyway, thank you so much, and I hope people come and enjoy the student artwork. Thank you.
All right, any additional public comment? Comment for items not on the agenda? All right.
Consent calendar.
Do we have a second? Second. All right, motion from Member Bowders, second from Member Donahue. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Bowders.
Aye.
Councilmember Donahue.
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pats.
Aye.
And Mayor Medina.
Aye. All right, let's adjourn this meeting at 7:25. It is 7:25, and I call to order the regular city council meeting for the city of Emeryville on Tuesday, March 6th. We're all still here, so I don't think we need to call the roll again. All right. Can we get an approval of the final agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by member Martinez, seconded by member Donahue.
Councilmember Bouders?
Aye.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pats?
Aye.
And Mayor Medina.
Aye. Any special orders of the day? Nope, seeing none. Announcement of commission or committee vacancies.
No announcement tonight, thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember special announcements or reports on meetings attended. Yes, member Martinez.
I just wanted to say in our first 6 months of service, East Bay Community Energy has saved Alameda County customers $3 million. Not so much in Emeryville, but in other parts of the county, there's been some confusion when people look at their bills because EBCE is our new electrical provider. It's not something people are used to seeing. So I just wanted to let people know that if they are confused at all about their bill, they can go to ebce.org for more information, or they can call 1-800-699-EBCE, and you'll get a live person from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday. But I just want to let you know up front that if you're an EBCE customer in Emeryville, you are seeing a savings on your bill. I also serve on Stop Waste, and I just wanted to let people know what this body is real briefly. It's the Alameda County Waste Management Authority, not to be confused with Waste Management, which is a private hauler. We're also the Recycling Board and the Energy Council for the county, and we, in the upcoming year, we'll be working on several things, but briefly on the SB 1383 rollout, on building electrification, on embodied emissions in building materials, and in the past, folks who have worked on sustainability and environmental issues have looked at GHG emissions from buildings as they are, but one thing that we're starting to look at is the emissions that it takes to make something, especially buildings, because that is a place where we can move the needle. Another area is circular economy partnerships. So if anyone is a friend of mine on Facebook, you will see me reposting articles such as that where companies are starting to think about reusable packaging. So Haagen-Dazs, for instance, is looking at stainless steel containers that you would be able to return to them and then get more ice cream. And then Stop Waste also assists cities with their climate action plan. So I just wanted to let folks know what we're going to be working on in the next year. Thank you.
Yeah. Member Bouders.
I have a few items as well. It was a busy couple weeks. First is, I mentioned it earlier, but for the benefit of folks at home who tuned into this, many people in Emeryville received, I hope Dave in the camera room is getting this for me, many people in Emeryville received a green or a brown version of this. And it's titled A Notice of Intent to Adopt a Negative Declaration. It's issued by Caltrans. The California Department of Transportation is proposing to lower, in some places, raise, and you'll put it up on the screen in a second for me. Lower, raise. Sorry. It's okay. I was going to read a couple things because there's some dates on it. Go ahead and put it up there. Because if you put it on the screen here, I can still see it. Thank you, Christian, for helping me through that one. I appreciate you. So this is for the folks at home. You may have seen this document come in, and if you live in Emeryville, you probably got it after the public hearing. So Caltrans is actually proposing to separate the bridges in the maze and actually give them higher clearances from where they currently are, which will actually result in parts of the 580 and 880 freeway being closed for months. This is a really serious thing that the community needs to be aware of, because they are proposing to displace thousands of traffic commuters from the freeways onto the Emeryville streets to connect them to the other parts of the 580 and 880 freeway. I can't begin to stress how disastrous this will be for local transportation. So the problem here is a couple things. One, Caltrans came to the Alameda County Transportation Commission last week to introduce Tony Tavares, the new D4 director, to us, who was pleasant and responded positively to my request for a no right turn off of Powell Street and potentially opening a lane onto the freeway for buses only. But he failed to mention that this was happening at all. But he committed to myself and other commissioners that this was an issue of that communication was important. And so I reached out to ACTC and Caltrans yesterday when I received mine in the mail, and you'll see that the hearing date was February 28th. So I received mine on March 3rd. Many people in the advocacy community for pedestrians and bicyclists also in this community received theirs over the weekend. And I was told I was going to get a call back from Caltrans before this meeting tonight, and I did not get one. So I told them I was going to throw them under the bus at this meeting, and I'm going to do that. This is not how you actually properly process something like this in a community like ours. And so there's a couple things I'd just like the public to know. One is if you have this notice and you don't understand what it is, it's basically a warning from Caltrans that they're about to create traffic apocalypse on Emeryville. And if you'd like to tell them no or what you think about their proposal, the sheet near the bottom has an opportunity for you to provide written feedback or participate in an online public meeting, which basically means talk to somebody over an internet chat room. And there's a website you'll see down there to do that, and there's a deadline to submit your comments in writing, which is March 15th. They have to be submitted in writing, not by email, to Caltrans at 111 Grand Avenue in Oakland. I just want to let my council colleagues and staff know that I am committed to getting Caltrans out here in Emeryville to conduct a second public listening session. Mr. Bryant.
I'd just like to add, if I may, that one of the options that they're considering is going to preclude the development of a bus yard for the Emery-go-round on Mandela Parkway.
We need to schedule this for.
Yeah.
Okay.
If, Mayor, if I may, if the council would like to schedule this for your next agenda to have a fuller discussion on this, then we can certainly do that.
So my ask is this. I think that that's fine if that's what council wants to do to get the full. There are implications beyond just the traffic impacts. The 580 freeway, we can't discuss it, but the 580 freeway staff and myself and others are working with the Emery-go-round to try to secure a site for a permanent bus yard, and that is in jeopardy with this proposed project. So there are a lot of different implications here. I just wanted to inform the community about this evening. I just don't want, because we will be the people who hear about it, and we will be asked why we didn't notify the public. So the public, you're on notice as best as we can, and I'm going to try and get a second public hearing in the city, but I do recommend that if you have neighbors who you can share this with or who don't know what this is, to do that. So that's my first item. My second item is an update from the Alameda County Healthy Homes Joint Power Authority. We're a member city of the Lead Poisoning Abatement District. And after 17 years of litigation with 3 major paint companies, the court is about, thank you, Charlie, the court is about to enter and approve a judgment that would require the paint companies to pay close to $1 billion to the 12 counties in the city of Oakland who litigated this case for a long time. And it's important, just as an update to my colleagues in the community, the county of Alameda will receive $45 million from that pot of money. But there is a contingent requirement in the judgment that says that the county has to spend all the money within 4 years or it loses all the money that it hasn't spent. It's a really terrible condition in this judge's order, and the challenge is that there are only 2 trainings a year that certify people to do lead abatement. They're qualified to do lead abatement, and so I just want to let everyone know that on behalf of the city, in my capacity in this board, and with the board, we have written a letter to the Department of Public Health, and we will be asking them to provide ramp up by allowing cities and counties that are affected by this judgment to hold and host additional lead certification trainings. And so I just want to give staff that information, mostly that there's the possibility that the city of Emeryville could play a part in helping make good use of this money by offering, as we've done in the past, to provide RRP trainings here in the community to people so that we can actually remove lead from our community, which is important. Next item is the Air District. The Air District is in the process of reviewing its budget, and I just want to briefly let everybody know that the Air District is financially very secure, and Alameda County is paying more than its share in terms of tax revenue to fund the work of the Air District. We were paying 105% of our budgeted amount this past year due to property tax changes in the county, and so I just want to let everybody know that we're doing fine on that. And I just want to thank Miru Desai from the Planning Department for coming out to Pacific Park Plaza with me a week ago and providing an extremely thorough briefing on the ANI project to the residents at PPP and taking their questions, and I just think it should be held out as an example of how staff does good work here. Those are my comments.
Okay, any other special announcements?
I just want to give a thank you. We had our probably most productive community services meeting last week. It was quite incredible. The school board member and all the principals and superintendent came out. Community services was there in force, as was Public Works, and we had a great conversation on traffic, and so I just want to thank everybody involved.
Fantastic. All right. The Mayor's Conference, which as a committee I sit on, has agendized a discussion regarding potential modification to appointments and terms for certain regional boards. And I believe that discussion is going to talk about how cities with rotating mayorships are appointed to these boards. And this could affect the amount of influence Emeryville gets to have on how large regional funding is allocated. So we will be paying very close attention to that upcoming meeting. Any other announcements? All right. City manager report?
None, Mayor, thank you.
Cool. Any ex parte communications? Yes, go ahead.
Item 12.2, I've met with Sean Luce from BPG, Lauren Carpenter from Medman, and Nasser Azimi from East Bay Therapeutics.
All right, I've met with Sean Luce from Medman and Hirsch Jane. No, Sean Luce and Hirsch Jane from Medman. Yeah. Anyone else? Okay. Public comment for consent agenda or items not on the agenda? Seeing none. Consent agenda. Do we have a motion for consent?
I move the consent calendar.
Do we have a second? Oh, come on. I'm just going to point at somebody.
Second.
Move to Member Donahue.
Nobody likes the consent calendar anymore.
Seconded by Jesus. Member Bowders.
Not seconded by Jesus.
I think she said Jesus.
Let's call the roll.
Councilmember Bowders.
Aye.
Councilmember Donahue.
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pats.
Aye.
And Mayor Medina.
Aye. It's painful. All right, no public hearings. Action items 12.1. Introduction and first reading of an ordinance of the City Council of Emeryville amending Chapter 24 of Title 5 of the Municipal Code, Parks.
Good evening, Madam Mayor and council members. Tonight you have a recommendation by the Parks and Recreation Committee and staff to approve the first reading regarding Chapter 24, Title 5 of the Emeryville Municipal Code. Currently, the code does not allow for dogs to be in Emeryville parks. The current code only authorizes dogs to be in the Marina Park and Temescal Creek Park. In response to the new facilities that are being installed, staff explored some amendments, and the following amendments are being recommended. In keeping in spirit with the Emeryville being dog friendly, allowing dogs to be in all parks, that would be one of the changes. Authorizing to be off leash in designated areas. For those on leash and off leash, proposing the amendment include a limit of 4 dogs per handlers. The city parks must have current licenses issued in the city or another jurisdiction.
Okay.
And another one change recommended is changing the park hours for the community to use the parks for those that come home late and need to take their animals out to the park from instead of 9 to 7 to 10 to 6. And then also allowing the city manager to make any rules and regulations needed in this chapter as needed. That pretty much covers my report, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Can you go over the hour change again one more time for me?
From currently it's 9 to 7 a.m. and change it to 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Okay.
10 p.m.
10 to 6.
The closure hours would be 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. as opposed to currently it's 9 p.m. to 7 a.m.
Okay, thank you. Any other clarifying questions? That's the park closure. Clarifying questions? No. Any?
Is there,
Okay.
Was there a thought as to why 4 was the magic number of dogs?
Something that was manageable, I think, for people coming into the park, so it wouldn't be something where maybe dog walkers would have too many dogs and not be able to control them.
Two per hand was the
Yes.
manageable.
As an educator, what's the collective noun for 4 dogs?
They're a pack.
That is correct. I feel like you just won Jeopardy.
We've all learned something.
I did not think that was a difficult one.
No.
I was hoping for something more fun.
Cats have the fun one. It's a clouder of cats.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Crows are the best.
Murder.
It's a murder of crows, yeah.
All right. Any other clarifying questions? Now we're just doing this. Any public comment, if it involves a collective noun, extra points. Passed up. Okay.
Too much pressure.
Discussion.
I do have one item. I actually would like to propose one additional amendment. I agree with all the staff's recommendations. In section 5-24.06, which says animals in city parks is the title, subparagraph B, nuisances created by dogs, it reads, every person in control of a dog in Temescal Creek Park or the marina must clean up any fecal matter deposited by the dog. Failure to clean up after the dogs will constitute a misdemeanor under section 6-2.02 and 6-2.03 of this code. I would like to change the word misdemeanor to infraction. I don't believe we should criminally punish people for failing to pick up dog poop. That's insane.
It really depends on the scale of the problem, but in spirit, I agree with
But
you.
it is crazy to me that we still have archaic ordinances that criminally punish people for something that stupid. So I will, unless there's other comment, Madam Mayor, I'm ready to make a motion.
Any other comments? All right.
I make a motion to approve the amendments proposed by staff to the section of code. Oh, you need a reading by title, or, sorry. Please motion to read by title only.
All right. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion second to read by title only. Call the roll.
Councilmember Bouders?
Aye.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pats?
Aye.
And Mayor Medina.
Aye.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Emeryville amending Chapter 24 of Title 5 of the Emeryville Municipal Code Parks with a CEQA determination of exempt pursuant to CEQA Guideline 1506 sub 1, 15061 sub B3.
Madam Mayor, if the council would humor me, I'd like to make a motion to approve the ordinance with all the amendments as proposed in the staff report by staff, with an additional amendment in paragraph, section 5-24.06, subparagraph B of the municipal code, the second full sentence, to strike the word misdemeanor and replace it with the word infraction.
Could I ask a clarifying question?
Yes.
Because I support this change. Do we need to go and change our, I think it falls under littering ordinance or something?
I looked at the litter ordinance. The litter ordinance is just a list of things that constitute a violation, so it includes. Doesn't use the word misdemeanor actually in it. So it would just constitute a violation, but we're basically specifying that it would just be an infraction. And we could strike the words under sections X and Y and just say infraction if the city attorney would prefer that.
I would prefer that.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So I'll amend my motion to approve it with the staff recommendations. Thank you, Councilmember Pats.
No worries.
And remove everything after the word constitute in that sentence. So it would simply say constitute and infraction, period. That's my motion.
Motion, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right. Motion by Member Bowders, second by Vice Mayor Pats.
Councilmember Bouders?
Aye.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pats?
Aye.
And Mayor Medina.
Aye. Still pick up after your dogs.
And I will just say that a murder of crows is not the best one. It's a museum of waxwings.
Of what?
Waxwings.
Birds, the waxwings, a group of them is a museum.
Have you ever seen a museum of waxwings?
Yes, I have.
Oh. I've seen a lot of murders of crows.
Fair enough. All right. Next up, 12.2, introduction and first reading of an ordinance to repeal section 5-28D of the municipal code, cannabis.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Michael Medina, City Attorney. Pursuant to to Council's former direction, we brought back an ordinance to repeal the provision of 5-28.10 sub D, and which prohibits the display of any cannabis or cannabis-infused product for the public right-of-way. So we've struck that provision altogether. I will make a note that the state B&P code requires that consumption may not be visible from the public right-of-way. That still applies. So that's the end of my staff report, unless you have any questions.
Any clarifying questions? Nope. Thank you. That expedient staff report. All right, we'll take public comments. Maybe we'd get one.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Obviously, we support this measure. As discussed before, I think it's a great idea to create some public exposure, if you will, given the direction that cannabis is going, with significant remedial values that it brings into the community. We're seeing a great number of elders now come into our facility at East Bay Therapeutics looking for CBD solutions, and I actually see the transformation going on from one jurisdiction to the other, where a lot of folks used to show up and say no on cannabis. Now they're all doing the thumbs up about CBD at least. So we're pleased to see that, and I think this measure will really go a long ways to create a little more transparency to how we operate our cannabis operation. I'm a little concerned about the consumption piece that City Attorney just read about. Consumption comes, of course, in different shapes and forms. Totally understand the part about smoking and vaping as far as exposure to the public right away. However, cannabis, as both dispensaries proposed, we have taste bars. And in that context, it's really not intrusive or presenting anything derogatory to anybody in the context of the public right away. So not sure if there is an option for the council to have a discussion about that and overwrite the city law, but just figured I'll just throw that out for you to consider, because that, I think, is an element of our operation that we would like to play up in the context of how we do cannabis in the city of Emeryville. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any discussion on this item?
Go ahead, Diane.
Oh, I was just going to ask our city attorney that the consumption piece, you were talking about state law, correct?
That's state law, that's correct.
Yeah, so there's not necessarily anything that we can do that would be in conflict with the state law.
Any other discussion? Motion to read by title only?
So moved.
Second.
We've got a motion to read by title only by Vice Mayor Pats and a second by Member Martinez.
Councilmember Bouders?
Aye.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pats?
Aye.
And Mayor Medina.
Aye.
An ordinance of the City Council of the City of Emeryville to repeal Section 5-28.10 sub D of the Emeryville Municipal Code, cannabis, with the CEQA determination of exempt pursuant to CEQA Guideline 15061 sub B3.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Member Bowders, second by Member Martinez.
Councilmember Bouders?
Aye.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pats?
Aye.
And Mayor Medina.
Aye. All right. 12.3, Development Bonus System Discussion.
All right, this is mine. On January 15th, Councilmember Martinez and the rest of the council requested, and the rest of the council agreed to have an item put on the agenda so that you all could discuss the development bonus system. And so that is what this is. I'll just very briefly summarize what the development bonus system is so that you can talk about if you'd like to consider any modifications to it. Basically, we have throughout the city base and bonus levels, as indicated on various maps, of floor area ratio, building height, and residential density. Developers who wish to go above the base level up to the bonus level must earn bonus points, and they must provide affordable housing units in the project and also provide community benefits. The community benefits that they may provide come from a menu of options that's listed in the planning regulations. There are 6 items on that menu. Those include public open space, zero net energy, public improvements, utility undergrounding, additional family-friendly units beyond what would otherwise be required, and a contribution to the small business fund. There is also a 7th category called the flexible community benefit, whereby the developer can propose any community benefit that they wish, and then the city council will determine whether or not that's acceptable and how many points to award to it. I would note that a developer who opts for the flexible community benefit must have their project approved by the city council, even if it didn't otherwise require city council approval. If the council wishes to modify the development bonus system, that will require an amendment to the planning regulations. And that, of course, requires passage of an ordinance with a recommendation from the Planning Commission. You could, if you wish to, initiate such an ordinance and refer it to the Planning Commission for a public hearing and a recommendation, and then it would come back to you for first and second reading. Alternatively, you may wish to refer the matter to the Planning Commission to hold a study session and come back with you with a recommendation, on future direction. That concludes my report. I'd be happy to respond to any questions.
Thank you. Any clarifying questions? Member Donahue?
The list of 1 through 7, it doesn't mean a priority, it's just an option. Isn't that correct?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Any other clarifying questions? Could you give us some context about when this was adopted and what was the process prior, our current development bonus system?
Sure. I'll try to keep it fairly brief, although it's a long history. This really comes out of the current general plan and the current planning regulations. But prior to that, dating as far back as 1988, I believe, on our prior planning regulations had provisions for increasing the height limit or increasing the residential density or increasing the FAR for various projects. It was kind of baked into the base zoning designations. It wasn't shown on maps as it is today. But developers knew that all they needed for that additional development was a conditional use permit. It didn't require any special findings. It didn't require any community benefits. It was just a conditional use permit. Their projects typically required a conditional use permit for something else anyway. So, for example, if the height was 60 feet, but you could go to 75 feet with a conditional use permit, and your project required a conditional use permit anyway, the developers just assumed the height limit was 75 feet. So and they generally got it. When the general plan was being updated in the early 2000s, a number of people, the city council, the planning commission staff, and a lot of community members said, we're just giving away this development potential. We should, if we're going to give developers additional height or FAR or density with a use permit, we at least ought to get back some community benefits for it. So the general plan now explicitly has a policy that development bonuses will be based on a point system in exchange for community benefits. There have been a number of iterations of that. The original system that was adopted with the new planning regulations back in 2013, I think, had 18 categories of potential community benefits. That was whittled down by the council. Some of you will remember this a few years ago. Yeah, maybe it was 2015. From 18 to 6 categories, and that's what it is today. I would also note that initially, before the Palmer decision, if you're familiar with that, that's the decision that took away inclusionary zoning. So before the Palmer decision, all developments in Emeryville were required to include affordable units in their projects. So it wasn't part of the bonus system because they had to provide the affordable units anyway. But after the Palmer decision, when the council revised the development bonus system and reduced it from 18 to 6 categories, they also added affordable units as one of the things you had to include in your project in order to get your bonus points. So that's how we ended up with the system that we have today.
Thank you. All right. I open it up to public comment.
Excuse me. Hi, I'm Jordan Wax. I've been here once before. I'm an Emeryville resident, live down in southeast Emeryville.
I have a lot of thoughts about the way development has happened in Emeryville. I'm not going to waste your time with all of those, but listening to this right now, I'm coming back around to this idea. And look, you're just talking about, so far you've talked about what is the current bonus system. And I don't know where your discussion is going from here, presumably to the future bonus system. But I'm thinking about the height limits that we have in Emeryville, and I'm thinking about the thing that we know that we have the opportunity to do here that city councils and mayorships across the country would be so enthusiastic for, which is to be able to take advantage of the things that we have access to here in Emeryville that most populated parts of the country don't, such as our level of access to the major transit network that we have. Arguably the most single important asset that we have here because it's so unusual. And so when we're talking about how we're going to make developers pay for the fact that they want to build more units in a place where we want more units built, we should at least have a program in the end that is oriented around that goal of we want more people in Emeryville because more people in Emeryville means more people with world-class access to regional transit. It means more people, if we plan correctly, who can just leave their cars. Because an interesting point came up earlier when talking about emissions. We want to start talking about what it takes to build. I have this concern that there are a lot of people who are starting to relax on cars because we have electric cars now, as though electric cars just come out of the air. All of a sudden, Tesla is going to be coming out with an SUV. Like SUVs just come out of the air if you don't have to use gasoline to move them around. All right? So the question is, if you're going to make developers compensate for the fact that they're building densely when we already want them to build densely, are you going to do it in such a way that is going to maximize the orientation of development in Emeryville around people using transit, people getting out of cars, because that's what we really want. That's what we have an opportunity to do here that most places don't have. So I'm asking, seize it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment for this item? All right, let's start discussing. And Member Martinez, if you don't mind kicking us off since you brought this up to us.
Thank you, Mayor. I brought this forward because I feel like this is an important policy area that the council should review periodically as it relates to development in Emeryville. And I wanted to make sure that this development bonus system is in line with our priorities and values as a council. Specifically, I don't know if this is the right thing to do, but I wanted to have a forum to discuss with you whether or not project labor agreements would be appropriate to add to the community benefits and bonus points system. There are pros and cons to doing that. Well, the con would be that we might not get as much of the other community benefits if we added project labor agreements. But it would be a clear signal to developers that we value quality buildings and quality jobs in our community. So I wanted to open up that discussion and have the proper forum for that.
Thank you. Does anyone want to respond to that? I'm happy to. As a former union organizer, I am in general quite supportive, and I think Emeryville has exemplified a lot of great labor standards. I think this is a thing we should definitely consider and discuss. I'd probably want to maybe have a study session on it or something more in depth so we can see the costs of that, look at what other cities have done that in our region and the impacts, and have a more robust discussion about what the impacts would be. I was curious what you were going to be bringing up tonight. PLA does make sense as something I think to discuss.
There are other ways to get PLAs.
There are other ways.
So this could be the first of more conversations.
Right.
Yeah, so I want to first respond to Councilmember Martinez's suggestion, and I think promoting project labor agreements is important, and I'm open to discussing it or studying it however the council wishes to do that, whether that's here or the Planning Commission. I think that cities should actually create standards for project labor agreement requirements generally so that they're not constantly subject to negotiations. People come into the community knowing what they need to do. But I wanted to also respond to the public comment because I completely endorse everything Jordan said, and I Public improvements is listed on here. It's an ambiguous category, perhaps to our benefit here, because I do believe that one of the things that we should, and we've done, we've exacted transit fees and other transportation impact fees from folks before, but I do think in some of the future projects that the city may be voting on, I think that connecting people to mass transit and stick around for item 12.4 and other ways to promote the use of transit and its sustainability is important. And yeah, I'll just stop there. So I support Councilmember Martinez's request to discuss it however people want to do that.
I like the idea of having a study session about it.
For me, I agree with what Member Bowder said. I think there's other ways to get PLAs. I'm all for them. I really think this is our opportunity to make sure that as we have large developments come online, they represent what we want the city to reflect, and I think the next item is a perfect example of that. For me, there are very few ways, let me rephrase that. This idea that buildings and putting up large structures have no impact on the community is an inaccurate way to look at it. This is our way to make sure that we offset the extrinsic costs of construction and development. And so for me, I don't love this list, but when you have a catch-all as item 7, the list becomes, arbitrary. It could just be one, whatever we decide.
So actually, can I just to point out, because it's your comment, but I just want to make sure you know that the first 6 items, the Planning Commission could approve the first 6, and the 7th one we have to approve.
Yeah,
okay.
No, I got that.
Okay.
No, I totally got that. So anyways, that's my thought on that. I think I'm fine with exploring this. I just think that this is a nice tool for us.
Madam Mayor, so is council interested in either a greater discussion on PLAs and how to incorporate those into the planning process, or would they like to further explore this specific list, which is very narrow? But I think it's actually a good list. I remember spending a lot of time on it. In 2015, but I wanted to make sure we've got 3 newer members of council who did not get to have input into this process except as a planning commissioner.
Right. I would personally lean towards discussing PLAs as a whole. This could be a tool in the tool basket of how we get PLAs and something we can bring up, but the first thing that you brought up sounds like the best method for me, but I'm interested to hear what my colleagues say.
I fully support having a conversation on PLAs as a separate standalone conversation. Whether we want to have another conversation, I would be open to revisiting these 6 items.
I agree with Vice Mayor Pats. I actually think we don't need to revisit the bonus point system myself if we have a conversation about PLAs, which I think was the purpose of revisiting it. I think if in the end the conversation on labor agreements leads us to believe that the only solution is to revisit the bonus system, I think we could do it at that time. But I would rather not open the conversation in that context, surmising that should be the way to do it, because I agree with Vice Mayor Pats that the appropriate use of bonus points is to benefit the members of the community who receive the impact most.
Okay. Member Donahue?
Well, just the difference between prior to us getting the current system and then what we had before is striking. We are getting community benefits and affordable housing, and before we were not. So it's working pretty well, compared to what we had.
Okay. Sounds like you're in agreement then.
Yes.
Okay. So Member Martinez, what do you think is the best forum to discuss PLAs in?
I think we should come back with a study session on project labor agreements and the best way to incorporate them into our development process. And I also want to acknowledge the speaker. I appreciate his comments tonight.
So, Madam Mayor, just for clarification then, it would be a study session in the context of the bonus system because I don't think you can require it as a condition of approval. So the way would be to have how you're going to incentivize it as a voluntary offer. Is that, or were you interested in having a discussion about how to mandate a project labor agreement on a private development project?
Yes. And
that'll take us a minute to research.
Then that's fine.
Since
that's all?
Yeah.
Okay, you ready?
Because we can adjourn. No.
All right. Do you want to make a motion that clearly encapsulates?
Do we need a motion, or is this just
I don't
direction of
think we need
staff?
It's an
motion.
action item, though.
Oh, is it? Okay. I move to direct staff to come back with a study session at a date uncertain regarding project labor agreements, and the bonus system may be included as one of the solutions on how we get there. But primarily, I have an interest in mandating PLAs.
We have a second?
I second it.
All right, moved by Member Martinez, seconded by Member Donahue.
Councilmember Bouders?
Aye.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pats?
Aye.
And Mayor Medina.
Aye. All right. Next up, and speaking of transit-oriented development, let's get to 12.4, discussion of eliminating parking minimum requirement.
This is another request from council, this time from Mayor Bouders, also at the January 15th meeting, asked that we put on the agenda an item for you all to discuss whether you wish to consider eliminating minimum off-street parking requirements. By way of background, under our current planning regulations, we have a range of parking spaces that may be provided for any given use, and this is based on what is known as the estimated parking demand. The range of spaces goes from the minimum, which is 33% less than the estimated demand, to a maximum, which is 10% more than the estimated demand. So, for example, for office space, the estimated demand is 2.4 spaces per 1,000 square feet. The minimum is therefore 1.6 per 1,000, which is 1/3 less than 2.4, and the maximum is 2.64, which is 10% more than 2.4. For residential, the estimated demand is 1 space per unit, so the minimum is 0.67 spaces per unit, and the maximum is 1.1 spaces per unit. So anything within that range is allowed to be provided by the developer. If the developer wishes to go above or below the range, that requires a conditional use permit from the Planning Commission with certain findings that must be made. If the minimum were to be eliminated, we would still have the maximum, and therefore the range would become from 0 to the maximum, whatever that was. I would also note that in the Transit Hub Overlay Zone, all parking requirements are reduced by 15%. When we do the parking calculation for a non-residential use, we subtract the first 1,500 square feet so that any use that is less than 1,500 square feet doesn't have to provide any parking at all. And also in the neighborhood retail overlay, local serving uses less than 5,000 square feet do not require parking either. So those would all still be in effect. There would just be no minimum, so the range would be from 0 to whatever the maximum is. Again, if you wish to modify this, you can initiate an ordinance to amend the planning regulations and refer that to the Planning Commission for public hearing and recommendation. Or alternatively, you could ask that a study session be held on the matter. That concludes my report. I'd be happy to respond to any questions.
Any clarifying questions? All right. Public comment on this item? Mr. Carpio.
In a point system that I understand from Charlie Bryan there, and he had a partner, a consultant, I forgot his name, but my question at that time was that it has overlooked the possibility of not eliminating the point system, but to substitute the point system in which the parking requirement would be made underground, under the habitation, under the building. And in that, then the density, if the parking requirement is made under the construction, then we could increase the density of the lot per unit of parking available. And if, for instance, a whole lot is dedicated to an underground parking, then instead of having 2 units, we could have 4 units. And this would accommodate the family situation. And this is important because the area that is taken on the side of the property for parking off-street or on the street is something that is not compatible with the idea of a park system. Thank you.
Thank you. I think Sherry's going to help you with this.
Need some screw and bolt and nuts here.
All right. Any other public comment on this item? All right. Let's move on to discussion of eliminating the parking minimum. Since you brought this up, would you like to kick us off, Member Bowders?
Sure. So I think this is a really important thing for the city to do as one of the next steps in improving transportation utility and accessibility and thinking about the future. I read something recently that 30%. Millennials are 30% more likely to not own or use a car than their parents' generation. And I think that's an interesting statistic. And when you think about the geography and location of where we're located, you know, we've had a history of every time there's traffic and congestion in California and across this nation, we add a lane to the freeway. And it is billions and billions of dollars of money on hardscape infrastructure that doesn't actually do anything except induce demand for more cars, which are going to kill this planet. And I agree. I don't care if it's an electric car or if it's a gas car. It's not the way to move people and make best use of land. And so if we want to really change human behavior, we have to provide people with choices that reflect the behaviors we want. And so I think building fewer freeway lanes and fewer parking spaces, and yeah, there's the person who's going to say, well, I'd never give up my car, you know, you'll pry the steering wheel from my cold dead hands, and that's fine. That's fine. But I think we need to look at the generational shift in transportation preferences and an awareness among younger people about the future of our climate and how parking relates to that. Doesn't immediately connect for some people, but parking induces cars, and I think we need to encourage people to walk. I think we need to encourage dense development that is linked closely to transit options that are affordable to people of all socioeconomic statuses. And so I personally favor, you know, whether it's starting here or going to the Planning Commission. I'm not sure logistically what's the easiest thing. I really think we should eliminate the parking minimum rather than having to have people apply, you know, outside of what the current minimum is. We should break that mold and ask them to just think about what they could build. Could they build a transit-rich housing project that doesn't have parking spaces, where everybody who moves into our community is coming here because they're like, I want to be free of a car. I'm going to take the bus and the BART and I'm going to walk and bike, and that's how I want to live. There are people who want that lifestyle, and right now we can induce the type of residence we want by building and encouraging the construction of things that reflect the people who want that lifestyle. And if everything involves 2 spaces per car, or even 1.1 space per car or per unit, I think we're going to continue to get people who move into the middle of an urban core with a car. So yeah, I think we should eliminate these personally.
Yes, Member Martinez.
I want to endorse Member Bowder's comments. And the one thing I've been saying for years is I am tired of making things more comfortable for drivers of single occupancy vehicles. So I'm in favor of removing the minimums.
Member Donahue?
I believe the city of Berkeley has approved many new projects without a parking requirement. Is that true? And
Berkeley is currently examining it as well. the city of Minneapolis did it.
Yes.
I think this is a great idea. I just don't know if we want to have a study session here, if we want to send it back to the Planning Commission. And that would be my biggest question.
If I'm fully comfortable. I think the effect of parking minimums on cities and encouraging transportation to be built around cars has been well documented, and I'm very comfortable recommending that we just send this directly to Planning Commission so we expedite this process.
Is that a motion?
Make a motion? Go for it.
I'll make a motion to send this to Planning Commission for a public hearing.
I'll second the motion.
Councilmember Bouders?
Aye.
Councilmember Donahue?
Aye.
Councilmember Martinez?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Pats?
Aye.
And Mayor Medina.
Aye.
So could I just ask for clarification?
Yeah.
To the Planning Commission for public hearing, that means we will prepare an ordinance.
Yeah.
And the Planning Commission will have a public hearing on the ordinance, make a recommendation, it'll come to you for first and second reading.
Yes.
All right?
Thank you. All right. Well, that wraps up our action items. And do we have suggestions for upcoming agenda items?
Oh,
Oh,
the department head reports.
oh, I missed it. Sorry. 13.1.
Thank you. Sherry always looks out for me because she looks forward to these reports.
Here we go.
Mayor Medina, members of the council, this is my report to you on the last Planning Commission meeting, which was on February 28th. And there were 3 items on that agenda. They are listed here on your agenda. I would note that all 7 commissioners were present at the meeting, and none of these items are appealable to the city council. The first item was the general plan annual report. The commission heard the report from staff, and then they voted unanimously to recommend that the city council approve the report and forward it to the state Office of Planning and Research and Department of Housing and Community Development by April 1st, which is the deadline. The commission held a study session on the proposed art center in the building here next to City Hall. And then they also held a study session on a proposed conversion of a duplex from a conversion of an existing single unit building into a duplex at 1291 55th Street. That concludes my report. I'd be happy to respond to any questions.
Any questions?
So I'm sure you will bring this information to us on March 19th when it comes before the council, but I was wondering if you could just give us briefly a progress report, which would have been included in the housing element progress report on where we're at with our RENA, our regional housing needs allocation, which is how much housing we should be creating according to the Association of Bay Area Governments.
I'm sorry that I don't have those figures at my fingertips. It is included in the general plan annual report that will be in your packet for your next meeting. I think it's your next meeting. Yes, that's right. It's March 19th. I do know that I think we're about halfway, a little over halfway through the current RENA period. We are a little less than halfway to accomplishing the overall goal, but it varies by the different income categories. So in some categories we're below, and some categories we're ahead. Overall, I think we're slightly...
Roughly 50%.
Yeah, we're a little over 50% through the period. We're a little under 50% of meeting our RENA. I would note, however, I believe it's related to building permit issuance, and we've got a 500-unit project with 85 affordable units for which permits are expected to be issued any day now. So that will definitely affect the numbers.
Okay, thank you.
Any other clarifying questions?
Sorry, I couldn't be more precise.
I have a question for either Charlie or staff. There was an appeal filed related to parcel B in the marketplace. It's not on the future meeting agendas. When is it going to be heard?
It's scheduled for your next meeting for you to set the hearing date, and we will recommend that you set the hearing date for April 16th. Thank you.
Okay.
Great question. Any other questions? Thank you. I'm sorry I almost skipped you,
That's okay.
but I really appreciated your report.
Thank you.
All
I know
right.
you did.
Future agenda item requests. I know we agendized, earlier we discussed AB 147 as a separate item to discuss. Okay.
I would like to discuss having, as a part of our potential built environment a new kind of high-rise category that is being allowed in British Columbia, Canada, Vancouver. Incidentally, they're seismically more stressed than we are. And this type of high-rise construction is, I could get technical about it, but I think it would suit our city. And basically it's mostly wood, and it costs less. It goes up to currently 18 stories, and it allows for remodeling in the future as a high-rise structure. And I think that it would be very valuable as a building type for our city, because so many high-rise structures have the cost of remodeling is so expensive. But this, by the nature of its building specifications, allows for remodels. And I just know that I have family in New York City, and the remodeling of high-rise buildings becomes an issue for families. But if they can be easily remodeled, I think it would be good for our city as a building type. So I would like to have that as a future agenda item.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Is this, are you speaking of up to 18 stories as a wood frame construction building?
Well, it's wood frame for most of it, but the core of it is still concrete for the elevator shaft and the escape. And the stairway for the fire escape, and that provides the lateral bracing for the post and lintel style construction.
I'm great. I go to Vancouver quite a bit and love what they do there, and I'm grateful for you suggesting this, but I just want to confirm with Charlie. California State Building Code requires 2 concrete and up to 5 stick on the podium, but after that it requires steel frame construction still, correct?
Currently, yes.
So we would not be able to do what Vancouver does because we have a different building code.
Well, yeah, I mean, we would have to amend our local building code, which is based on the state building code, and the state has to approve any amendments to your building code, and it's unclear whether the state would approve this.
So, Madam Mayor, if I could make a suggestion. Councilmember Donahue, it might be helpful if we can have the meeting with you and with the building official and the planning director and walk through some of the background information on the building code requirements, and then perhaps return maybe to the housing committee for further discussion if you're interested in pursuing amendments to the building code.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
All right. Any other suggested agenda items? Okay, seeing none, let's adjourn this meeting at 8:23 p.m.